Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the show today. Very happy to have you here. Of course, for me, it's like I was just telling Thundero, it's a cool day, which I appreciate, but it's definitely going to rain some, and our weekend has been kind of off and on like that. A little bit of sun, a little bit of threats of rain, and it's been threatened for a few days. So I think we're going to get it tomorrow, I imagine. But how's the weather been where you are?
Absolutely gorgeous. Genuinely perfect.
Oh God.
Mid 60s to mid 70s for the last 4 or 5 days.
Okay,
No clouds, nothing.
just rub that right in there, won't you? All right. Well, that's good to hear. It is good to hear. It's nice that you're having good weather. But I do have one benefit that you don't have.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I don't have to live in America.
That's factual.
That is factual. Yeah, that's a sad thing to say, but it is what it is. But just kind of start off the things today before we get into stuff. My headline, not the byline, the headline is living up to Clint Eastwood. And we're going to get into an article that actually talks about that. I'm kind of curious on what is your take on that, living up to be, the persona, the character of Clint Eastwood. What do you think about that idea?
Um, I don't think anyone's going to succeed,
Yeah,
but people can try.
that is a high ass bar. That is true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the man has been at the very tippity top of Hollywood for 60 years.
hmm But it's also
That's a
talking
long
about
time.
the masculine character of him.
Yep,
And there's a lot of people I imagine try to live up to it. But the problem that I think they're missing is Clint doesn't work on being Clint. He just is. He
right.
exists. And you can't be something you're not. I think is the really important take out of it. And we're going to get in that too with a lot of things we're going to talk about today. The ideal of Clint Eastwood being, the masculine man who just takes care of his responsibilities and doesn't bitch and whine about it. Right? That's the
Yep,
general idea. And most men have done that throughout, I don't know, the entirety of
ever.
history. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
It's actually pretty standard. That's why I kind of think it's funny because Clint Eastwood is not unique in his maleness. Now, when you want to get into his acting and stuff like that, his directing, well, that's a high bar, like we already mentioned. But that's not really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, simple being a responsible male. And we're going to get into that a little bit today. And with
Hmm.
the byline, you guys see the poor black guys. I don't mean the black guys without money, just so you know. Okay, just
Uh-oh.
I just want to
Uh-oh.
just want to cover that. Just want to kind of be covered. But how was your weekend, dude?
Pretty good. Um, I've been let's just say one of my little side businesses that I've been doing just to kind of increase the income on top of other things was very, very busy. I didn't wasn't very fruitful yet, but it was very busy. And one of the things I picked up, I think when I go to resell it, I'm going to make an incredible profit off of.
Oh, that's
So
cool. Yeah.
yeah, busy weekend, busy, busy, busy. Motion is always better than no motion, especially in business. You want to be moving, got to have things moving. Because if you're not moving, you're definitely not making any money. So keep moving. Eventually, the if as long as I've noticed, the more that you do, and it's weird because we all heard it, right? We've all heard the old saying, "Fortune favors the bold."
Mm.
Um, God, God blesses the brave. Things like this, right? Um, yeah, that's true. If you just go do stuff, even stuff you've never done before, not comfortable with, don't put yourself in stupid situations necessarily, but just like business or try something. Just go try it. Give it a little while. Get really good at it and just see what happens. And things start to just kind of work.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, fortune literally does favor the bold.
Yeah. No, that's why it's a proverb.
Yep,
Yeah. See, proverbs are different from idioms and expressions and stuff because a proverb is true.
that's
You
right.
see, but it does, and a lot of people just don't try, and it's just go try. And that is definitely true. When I've throughout my life, I've certainly had my share of girlfriends and women's in my life. and they tended to be much higher on the beauty scale. And why is that? Is that because I'm such a catch? No, because I wasn't afraid to go up and talk to them.
Right.
And that's really what it comes down to, because guys are terrified of beautiful women and they don't talk to them, and therefore
Yep.
beautiful women actually don't get hit on much,
Or they
right?
get hit on, like, online nowadays, right?
Oh well,
Nowadays, it's online.
I'm not
They'll
talking
get they'll
about
get
that.
random dudes jumping in their DMs or whatever.
That is
And
the
guys,
weakest game sauce I've ever heard in my life. But go ahead. Yeah.
exactly. Guys, that doesn't work. Maybe it works occasionally, one out of blah blah blah. Okay, fine. But more often than not, and by more often I mean way more often than not, that's not going to work. Now, if you're in person, it's a lot easier because
Mhm.
one, most people, whether they know it or not, even people who don't think they are far more likable and charming in person
Yeah.
for many
Oh
reasons.
yeah. It's
But
definitely
the
true.
most obvious one is you're trying to not be offensive to people in person. In text, it's just cold text.
Yeah.
It's just cold. There's no way to know what somebody means, what they, how they carry themselves because women have this unbelievable intuition. It is literally their superpower.
It is.
The male mind is disciplined beyond all belief, like we were just talking about with Clint Eastwood. We just go do it. And the female mind has this intuition, this ability to just know when something is off.
They will sniff
And
your ass out. Yes, they
oh,
will.
they'll know it if you're fake. They'll
Yeah.
sniff it, like,
Mm-hmm.
they'll figure it out.
Yeah. Which is why
So
my theme is
that's
be
why it doesn't work.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, just be you, chill out. Now don't be a creep. Everybody's got a little bit of creep in them.
Yeah, but
That's just the
that's
truth.
not being you.
Exactly. Just
Yeah.
chill out and go say hi.
Well, and if
Hey, how
that
you doing?
is you, then,
Stop it.
go somewhere. Yeah.
Do the other thing.
Do the other thing. Yeah. Yeah. That is funny though. But me personally, my weekend, like I said, it was kind of gloomy and cool, so I just kind of snuggled all weekend. It was nice.
Nice.
I do
That doesn't
appreciate
suck.
snuggling. Yeah, does Clint Eastwood snuggle?
Probably, but he probably doesn't talk about it.
Yeah, he doesn't film it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no mention of it. You're not
Yeah.
gonna catch him in a snuggly moment.
No.
But I bet he's a big teddy bear
Yeah, yeah,
underneath
no.
it all.
So snuggling is always good. It's good.
Yeah.
I love I love the warmth and the skin to skin feel. And unless it's the middle of summer, then get the fuck away from me. Okay.
Well, I'll say this. There is not many things on the planet of Earth better than the touch of a woman's skin.
Yep.
It is so
It is
soft and
nice.
just it's so nice. Like
It
I
is
wish
nice.
women I think a lot of problems between men and women as far as like romantically and sexually would be solved if women understood how much we like to just touch them. And not
Yeah.
like a creepy way. Just the feel
No.
of their
It's
even
just
their
yeah.
hand is unbelievably satisfying to a man.
Oh yeah. It's true.
It's true.
It is true. And the snuggles definitely get pluses and bonuses. That is true. Clint Eastwood snuggles with a cactus. That's possible, Roger. That's possible. Just to make sure, And this conversation could also include other manly men, like say the Chuck of the Norrises.
Oh yeah.
But I think Clint is a better example, to be honest with you. And you'll see what I'm talking about when we get into it. But other than that, I did do a little bit of viewing this weekend of some stuff. I watched a show I hadn't seen before. It's got Omar Epps in it.
Uh-huh.
It's called Shooter. It's a TV show. That wasn't bad. You ever seen that?
I've heard of it. I don't know if I've ever seen it.
It's cliche as hell. There's this professional, in this case a sniper, who gets framed for a crime, right?
Ah,
It's very cliche, crime drama, that kind of thing. But the acting was pretty solid. Yeah, wasn't bad. And these days, if it's not bad, it's kind of nice. But we watched a little bit of that. I did take Adrian's advice, and I watched the first two episodes of Peripheral. Have you seen that?
I've heard of it, but I have not seen it. I've been a busy boy.
It's interesting. The concept is interesting. I have some bad feelings of where it's going to go, though. But it is interesting. I'll leave it with that. Basically, I think the problem that I had with it is the girl there. What's her name? Chloe Moritz. That girl. Um, she's just not engaging, dude.
No,
Yeah, she just doesn't
doesn't do
have
it
any
for you.
charisma. It's just I'm not in when she's on the screen. It's just boring. When other people on the screen, it's more interesting. It's and I'm not, I'm not knocking on the girl. She's trying. She ain't got that thing, man.
She
Um,
isn't the it factor, huh?
no, unfortunately, and I do feel a little bad for her because when we saw her face, because first time you see her is like a close up, and I'm like, well, I thought in my head, I said, have I lost time because she looks like she's 35, almost 40, right? And I was like, she's pretty young, isn't she? And because we were like, yeah, I thought she was really young, so I went and checked. She's 25, dude. She looks a
Wow.
decade older. I feel bad for her, man. I mean, that's sad. That's sad for a young girl, yeah, because she definitely, I don't know, she's was one of those faces. It's unfortunate, but yeah, I don't know. Go check it out, guys, and come back and tell us what you think. It is an interesting concept. It's not unique, but then again, it's not cliche either. So I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. But I have a feeling it's going to go down that avenue of Hollywood clichéness, where, when it needs to get done, it needs to get done, right? Even if that involves eliminating a target, right? But I know it's going to be like, no, we don't kill. We don't have to do things like that. I know it's going to go that direction, and it's dumb. These people are trying to murder you. Murder them back.
Reciprocity.
Reciprocity, bitch. Yeah, no, absolutely. But that's going to come into a conversation about another movie. I'm sure we're going to talk about.
Which
Uh,
movie was that, Esther? I wonder.
I don't
Hmm.
know. Maybe we should just go ahead and get started. And because I put it at the forefront. I did. So let's go ahead here.
Let's see. Which one is he talking about? Hang on. I don't even see it yet. Oh, what
Alrighty.
a surprise!
Okay, go ahead.
Black Adam producer Hiram Garcia declares long-term plans for Superman are about more than a fight between the two characters. This is his quote, that does not reward the fans. I
Okay.
agree. That's good. That's good.
You can agree or disagree with that, but the thing is, with the movie you just made, you didn't give yourself an option anyway, did you? Yeah. Which of course brings us into a conversation of Black Adam. Now, I don't give a shit, but I'm gonna put spoiler warnings up for you.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. Now, I'm gonna come right out and I'm gonna say that I didn't like this movie. See a lot of actual reviewers online giving it about a 5. I'm
Mhm.
probably more like a 4, but that's okay. Let me lean my shoulder a little bit right and let's go with a 5. So it's actually an average film.
Yep.
I'm going to get the positives out of the way, and I'll let Thundero talk about the positives because I think in the end, although you saw us disagreeing in the Discord chat, and if you're not a member, please do also share this stream so we can get more people in here. But I actually think you and I are going to agree on everything,
Yeah,
right?
I do too.
Let's put the good stuff out front. All right, action great. When Dwayne Johnson's on the screen, it's awesome,
Awesome. Yep.
awesome, it's awesome. Anybody else is on the screen except for maybe a little bit of Pierce Bronson.
Good old
It
Pierce.
sucks balls.
Yeah.
But when Henry's on the screen, it's good. But we're talking about good. We're not talking about bad. The CG most of the time is pretty good. There are some wonky ass CG in this movie, but in
A little bit.
general, it's pretty solid.
Yeah.
I'd say. The wonkiness is really the worst of the wonkiness is toward the end, but it's mainly pretty solid CG. But we know they spent a lot of money. Let's see what else is good. Yeah, that's about it. What do you
What
think
about
is good about it?
what about the post-credit scene? You didn't like that?
Oh yeah, no, sure, but that comes into the negative part of the conversation. But the post-credit scene, what are you going to do?
Mhm.
Because one of the biggest negatives of this, is the fact that you didn't make Black Adam. a villain. You
Mhm.
didn't make him a, I don't know, if we want to use the word anti-hero. He's just a straight up hero.
Yeah. I'll
So
say this.
why would they fight anyway, dude?
I'll say this. I think by making the dichotomy very strong in DC, especially in the movies, of what a hero is and what a hero isn't, meaning a hero doesn't kill people unless they absolutely have to. You have a little bit. I don't. You know, I don't like the term anti-hero. You know, I think it's stupid. You're either
Yep,
a hero or you're a villain.
sure.
Um, but with their context, their rule they've added
Mhm.
is that heroes don't kill. That seems to be pretty absolute.
Oh, we'll get
So
into that. We'll get into that.
So, if
Yeah.
that is their rule, then I guess he is technically a villain because he does kill people. A lot of
Yeah,
people.
it's
Very, very lot of people.
it's
Uh,
dumb though.
I agree. I think it's a what's the word? It's a manipulation, right? They're manipulating the language around and the
Mhm.
framing of it so that they can have their cake and eat it too. And that's not necessarily a terrible thing because The Rock is awesome as Black Adam. He does a great
Oh no,
job with what he's
he's
given.
great. Yeah, he is
Yeah.
great.
And he's
But
fun to watch. The action looks amazing. It actually looks like a comic book come to life. It's one of the first movies, especially that first bit that everybody's probably already seen the trailer, where he wakes up and the way he's moving around with it just feels like a comic book fight, like he's
mhm,
in a comic book attacking a bunch of dudes.
right.
Uh,
They should
and
have
I
done
love
the
I
whole
like
movie
that.
should have been more of that, but we'll get into
Yes,
that. But just go
I
ahead
agree.
and tell everybody what's good
So
about the movie. What's good about
I
it?
agree with you. Pierce Brosnan is. I think he's even better than good. I think he's fantastic. He's Doctor Fate
He didn't have
ish.
enough room to breathe, but you're right.
Yes, they did not give him enough, and that's a shame, especially with what happens in the movie. Uh, Hawkman's okay. I think there's more on that. There's more meat to that they just didn't get into because it wasn't his movie. Uh,
Well,
I don't know if
it's
that.
not
I don't know about that
Hawkman.
actor.
Have you ever
Well, yeah,
read a Hawkman comic book? Hawkman would
yes,
agree with him.
correct.
Yeah. Yeah, so whatever.
But this iteration of Hawkman, he looks really good. I'm surprised they actually got him to look that good, especially considering he's kind of a goofy looking character with the big wings and the helmet and everything. I think they did a good job of the character design. CG looks pretty good. Um, I really liked the costuming. I liked Doctor Fate's costume a lot, except for I don't know why his thing didn't have slits, his helmet, but whatever. Uh, I
Well,
liked his
I,
costume at the end, Black Adam's, when he, goes full Black Adam mode, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. And, he gets the new costume with the gold and everything on it. It looked very, very good. Um, the spoiler is, as we see, Henry Cavill is in the end, at the end of it, he's in the post credit scene, which isn't even really a spoiler. Everybody kind of knew that because
sure.
it was leaked a month ago or whatever. Um, the only thing I would say about that I didn't like is I don't like his suit, Superman's suit.
Well,
It's too Zack
it's
Snydery,
more
and I don't
classic.
like it.
Yeah, no, they
Yeah,
they didn't lean far enough back to Christopher Reeves. They a little bit. A little bit.
yeah.
It was a nod. They even had,
But
Williams' song in there. Did you hear that?
I did, yes.
Yeah.
As far as what I liked about it and what I didn't like about it, I pretty much agree with you. I would go a little bit further, not by a lot, like one half a tick into the better category, like a 5.5, maybe a 6 for the movie. But I knew that's what it was going to be. I never was out here saying this is going to be the best movie ever made. No,
Oh,
no,
no. No,
it was going to be a rock movie,
think we both
which a
said it
good
would
rock
be
movie
entertaining, and it does have its
is. Yes,
entertainingness. It does.
a
It's
good
just,
rock movie is a middling movie. He's never really
yeah.
made a great movie, but they
This
make
is
a
nowhere
lot
near
of
the
money.
best, Dwayne Johnson
No,
movie. Nowhere near it,
no.
dude. This thing is a
It's one of his
hot
better
mess.
performances, though,
Oh, no, I
because he
agree with that.
actually
I
is
agree with
playing a
that.
character.
He
He's not just The Rock.
is. That is different. He is playing a character.
I think where this
Yeah.
movie falls apart is the tropes. So it leans
Yep.
way too heavily into the surrogate family
It's
gimmick.
so cheesy, dude. My
It's
God,
so bad.
it's
That
like,
whole group, all the Kondakians besides Black Adam, are just,
oh,
ugh,
you mean all
they're just
20 of them?
insufferable. Yes, they're
Yes.
insufferable.
Yeah, they are. This should be called Cliche the movie,
Yeah, there's a
right?
lot of cliches, and I
And
understand why they did that. They're trying to make they wanted this to establish a new, like The Rock's even said it, a new balance of power in the DC universe with Black Adam showing up because he is a powerful SOB.
oh yeah,
Uh, So that's good, and I think they did a good enough job. He was powerful as hell. The other thing I liked, I forgot to mention, I really like the way I didn't like what they did with Sabak, but I liked the way Sabak looked. He looked fantastic.
I
It
hated
would
it.
have been nice
I hated it. It's
if we
bad
could have got
CG,
more
dude.
of him.
It's bad CG.
Oh, I thought it looked
I
great,
didn't like
especially
it at
the
all.
way he ends when he rips him. That
Well,
was
yeah, that
nice.
was a cool scene. Yeah, I'm not saying
Yeah,
that there wasn't coolness to it, but it was sloppy and messy.
yeah,
And Joshua, I agree. It wasn't a good movie, but it had fun and entertaining moments. It's true.
yeah.
It is true. That's why I said it's a. For me, I'd give it a 4. But I understand the average, the actual critic is around. I'm not talking about the morons. I'm talking about real movie critics. Is about a 5. That's probably fair,
Yeah.
right? It is
The only
probably.
thing that really matters, though, as The Rock said, is if the audience likes it, and
Yep.
so far they do,
Yep.
and it's making a lot of money, and
And
that's good
it means we'll get
because
more. So.
yes, this movie was designed from the get to be an establishing film. They're trying to reestablish the DCEU around The Rock in a way. And obviously, with Henry coming back, it's going to be more centered around him. But they're going to be the two opposing forces going forward, it looks like, which is good, which is
Yeah.
smart booking, right?
Let-
They're the
that-
two biggest stars, and they should be presented that way.
Let's go back to
So,
this headline though, and I understand that, but look at this headline. This is we were told that there was a big old fight coming between Superman and Black Adam. That's how they've been billing it and selling it since the beginning, right? Okay.
yeah.
And now we have an excuse from Mr. Hiram Garcia. The world's coming to an end. A Jewish Mexican. My God. But it's more than that. It's no. It's more than that. Well, that's not what you've been telling us. So all of a sudden you've changed your mind, Mr. Garcia. But whatever. There are some fun things to see in the movie. It's unfortunate the pacing is so bad. It's unfortunate that there's so much mess in it. It's unfortunate there's so much cliche. They could have cut a lot of that out of there, and it would and brought I would have shortened this movie by 30 minutes. A tight hour and a half action movie. What they should have done with this movie is very very simple. You have an archaeologist, say Mama archaeologist in the movie. Why? Okay, fine, right? uh, find something. And maybe even you have the Dark Justice League, because that's what this is, right? And you have Doctor Fate is helping her, right? We don't know it's him
Mhm.
yet, right? And they're looking at something, and they accidentally release Black Adam, and he goes on a tear, right? And
Yeah,
in the end, he's like, "No, I am the ruler of conduct. Get the fuck out of my country." And that's how
yeah,
you end the movie. That would have been a lot more fun, a lot better. The pacing would have been better. That's not what we got though. and and let's just get into the bad because there's a lot to talk about. All right. It starts out with one of those overhead roaming shots across the landscape. Okay, fine, right? But there's a narrator, and the narrator is a little boy, and the little boy is in the movie, a lot of it. Matter of fact, it's almost his movie, right?
yeah,
And it's the most annoying, nasally little kid narration I've ever heard in my life. It's so bad, dude. It's so bad. It's like who sat there and said, "Yeah, that's good. Let's go with that." I mean, I would have rather had the mother, right?
yeah.
It would have been better because the kid's voice is horrible, but yet he's the narrator, right?
Mhm.
And then the movie gets going, right? And we're following this incredibly annoying kid. You're not going to see. There's no way you're going to argue with me and say that kid isn't just please kill it quickly. That's a
Yeah,
horribly annoying child. Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
I
Okay.
agree
You agree.
wholeheartedly.
Great. And
Uh,
he's throughout the whole goddamn movie, dude. It's like
yeah.
shut this kid up. It's a
So
no.
here's what I hope they hear is that complaint. Because yes, he's not really Black Adam, and that does
It's not.
upset me
It's not Tulsa
because I
Adam at
wanted
all,
him to
dude.
be.
No.
Yes, I wanted him to be him. I did. But we didn't get that.
No.
So I had to take what they gave me. So what they gave me was a really cool
Fair.
rock movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what can we build off of that? One, we need to get rid of that whole fucking kid, that all that. Get that out of here.
Yeah.
Just
But
we'll just pretend that didn't happen. And then we can
spoilers.
go forward.
What are the chances that either the mother or the kid gets the helmet?
Oh, I hope not.
You
Well, here's the
know they
problem.
wanna, dude. You know they
Here's the
wanna.
problem. They were gonna make a Zatanna movie, but it got canceled.
Oh, that's too bad.
So I don't know what they do with the helmet because it's right there.
Well,
Hawkman kind of
it
uses it at the end, but
but it's dumb though. Why? I mean, once again, spoilers. Why kill off Pierce Bronson? There's no need to. There's
yeah,
zero need to kill him. You don't need to.
they and the worst part is I think everybody saw it coming. Like
Of course we did.
if you didn't see that coming, then I don't know what your brain waves operate on because it's not the human frequency. Because that was so obviously foreshadowed throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
Another thing I'll give it, the foreshadowing of him constantly accidentally punching Superman's logo, that was pretty cool. But other than that, uh, yeah, the Doctor Fate thing, the biggest travesty of this movie to me is killing off Pierce.
Yeah,
There was
no.
nothing gained by his death at all.
And they should have
Nothing.
spent a lot more of the movie around him. Like I said, there should have
Yeah.
been an archaeological dig, and he was involved with it. And we should have been following the narration. Should have been him narrating one, and we should have been following him the whole movie and really flesh that character out. Give him a chance to breathe and continue on with Pierce Bronson as Doctor Fate into several movies. Now, if you want to kill him off down the road and hand it off to a female, because you know that's what they want to do, fine. But that's
Mhm.
how they should have went. We should have got more of Pierce Bronson. That's without question.
Yep.
So, and the mother is really not here. She doesn't do anything. I can't even barely remember her face. It's just kind of a wasted throwaway character. You got the little stupid comic relief stuff, and the Kandakis. There's like literally 20 of them. It's dumb. They have the dumb thing where, oh no, there's an army we need to fight. We the people can fight too. Fuck off. Okay. So all of that's stupid. We agree. It's just dumb. Kandaki itself is stupid. All right.
Yep.
So we're going to take that, just roll that up and throw that away. Okay. Let's take a look at the superheroes we have.
Uh-oh.
Let's start on the bottom. Cyclone. Now, do
Mhm.
keep in mind that this is yet another redhead that has been swapped out with a black girl. Keep this in
Yep.
mind. Please do not go away from that. All right. I mean, god awful useless. I mean, why was she even in the movie? And we might as well talk about Atom Smasher at the same time because they both are identical, right? Why are they in the movie? They're dumb. This movie is trying to take a much more adult angle. I mean, The Rock is killing people left and right, dude. I
Yep.
mean, he's
Yep.
melting people, literally, right? Okay, cool, I'm on board. But then at the same time, you literally have this kindergarten shit with Cyclone and Atom Smasher. It's like, what movie are you making, dude? Pick a fucking lane. I mean, it's like a kindergarten, morning cartoon with those two. What are you doing? It's so stupid, dude.
Yeah, I agree. I would say the only real saving grace was again, I liked in action. They were fine when they were on the screen. I think they
Eh,
did well, but they didn't really do much. You could have not had them in the movie. It really wouldn't have changed much.
it would have changed
Um,
nothing. But their acting, my God, dude.
their
Uh,
acting is definitely not good. They definitely
like
spent their money on The Rock.
I like him. I mean, that's
But
literally
my
what's going
point
on. You know,
is I think the only purpose they're here for is the JSA because they want to make JSA movies.
why?
So I
Why?
think that's their only reason for existing. I
You
don't
know,
know
I'm
because they just
sure, but it's
want to
stupid.
expand the universe. Um,
You don't have to expand the universe in every goddamn movie. It's a Black Adam movie. Fuck off
yeah,
everything else and make a Black Adam movie. What are you doing?
yeah, I agree. I think all that really matters, though, at the end of the day, we have gripes and nitpicks, and they're all valid because, I mean, that movie has a lot of issues, especially the second half of it. Just kind of
Ooh, boy. Yes. Yeah.
goes way
Yeah.
off the rails. But the purpose of this film is to get The Rock in the DC as Black Adam. It did that. Is to introduce the JSA. It does that. And obviously, with the post-credit scene, to bring Henry back as Superman, because The
Okay.
Rock was very adamant that's who he wanted to be Superman to oppose him.
Yeah, and he's right.
Um,
He's
and
100%
he's
right.
absolutely
Yeah.
correct. So it did all of those things. Now, whether or not it did them perfectly or well or good or even not terrible is a matter of debate, but it did them, and it's making money hand over fist. So I think you have to say it was successful. It did what it set out to do.
All right,
If
man.
it did it
Yeah.
poorly, then so be it.
Well, I think we both said that the movie was going to be fun and it has fun elements and it would be successful. I would be surprised if it didn't make money. Let's see here. Let's check. I'd assume it's making money.
Oh yeah, it made like 130 million, I think, first weekend, something like that, which is a lot. It's the biggest
Yeah.
rock opening of all time for with him as a leading man.
Yeah, no, I
Um,
would be surprised if it wasn't making money. Yeah, let's just look at the numbers here. Yeah, no, so okay, so actual money in hand so far is about 70 million.
yeah,
So you just cut that worldwide in half, and you'll kind of look at what's in their pocket. And they don't give us this is a $200 million movie easy. So they still got a haul to go before they make any money on it.
yeah,
But yeah, no,
but they should.
this is not
They should.
surprising. Yeah, not surprising. Because the thing is, do we have a lot of wokeness in those movies? Certainly some.
A
But
little
it's
bit.
not a woke movie, though.
No.
It's not. So that's a
And
good thing.
the wokeness, especially with the little kids spouting off Marxist nonsense,
Yeah, all the
uh,
time. Yes. Yeah.
yeah, is at least in the context of what they're dealing with makes a little bit of sense, right? Of course, he's mad at these people in his country that don't belong. Okay, that makes sense. They're literally being oppressors and occupiers.
Yeah, but so
Uh,
is the Justice League or Justice
well,
Society.
the society,
So are
and
they.
they make that point though.
They
They
do.
do argue that
They
they have
call
no
them out
business
on
here.
it. Yeah.
Um,
And it brings us into my opinion the worst character of the movie, which is
uh,
Hawkman.
Hawkman, really?
Yes.
Wow.
Now,
I
did I
don't like
enjoy the
Hawkman.
fight scenes with him and Black Adam? Oh yeah, they were great. They were good. That was good fun. But there's many issues. One, I'm done, ignoring this race swapping crap. I'm done. I'm not.
Yeah,
I don't have any trouble with that actor at all. Matter of fact, I've seen him in many things I do like. But no, dude, fuck DC for race swapping Hawkman, and fuck you for taking it. Is
yeah,
really my opinion on it, right?
yeah.
So that okay, that aside, it's another stupid race swapping of a character that didn't need it, right? But beyond that, let's talk about Hawkman. Now, I actually have read more Hawkman comics than Batman comic books, I would think, in my lifetime. I've certainly read Batman, but I've never been a huge Batman guy, right? But I've read a lot of Hawkman stuff, and I like Hawkman. And in this movie, they're trying to make Hawkman Batman, is what they're trying
Yeah,
to do.
yeah.
He's so black and white about it. It's even mentioned in the movie that you're too black and white about it. Right is right. We don't kill. Rah, rah, rah. That is not Hawkman at all.
Mhm.
To give you an understanding, because I know Hawkman's nowhere near the most popular comic that people would have read from DC, but let me give you a Marvel example. He is the Iron Man of DC Comics, is what he
Mhm.
is. Now, sure, he's not technologically based, yada yada. Well, in a way, he is, but that's not what he is. Iron Man has trouble. He has difficulty with alcohol. He struggles with moral ambiguity, etc., etc. Hawkman is that, right? And if anyone in that list of characters they had that would understand what Black Adam was doing, it would be Hawkman, right?
Right.
But in this movie, he's just, no, I never get up. You killed people, you shall never be forgiven. And all this nonsense of you gonna have to defeat yourself, and we're gonna take you and lock you up. And then the whole inclusion of Amanda Waller. I mean, first of all, she's a villain. We all know
Yeah,
this. It's already been established she's a villain. Peacemaker even took her out with a freaking golf club, right? But yet
yeah.
she's ordering Superman around. What? Excuse me.
Well,
Excuse
I
me.
don't I don't think she ordered him. She said she called in a favor. So maybe he owed her one for something.
Yeah, no,
That's all she
she's a
said.
villain.
She asked him. I
Superman would
agree.
be more than likely to take her out before coming getting and taking out the hero of Kondak.
I agree with that. But they had to have some device to get those two to face off. Now they should have just had Superman show up. He
Yeah.
didn't need to be summoned to that. He would have easily been like, "What the hell's
No,
going on
just
over
have him
there?"
floating outside the palace,
Yeah,
and Black
just,
Adam
just
comes out. I mean, it's
and
simple.
in fact, I wouldn't even necessarily had him say anything. Just look at each other.
Yeah, yeah.
They're just staring at each other. That's
Although
it. Boom.
although the little words that came out of Henry were fine though. There was nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that.
Well, of course.
There was nothing wrong with that.
The worst part about Henry Cavill's Superman is everything else. Henry
Yeah,
Cavill as Superman is awesome.
he
He
is
is
awesome.
perfect.
He
He's
is awesome.
pitch perfect. He carries himself like Superman. The only real issue you could say aesthetically is he has really short arms, but there's nothing he can do about that. He's got short arms.
Yeah, no, yeah, but I think he is a perfect Superman. I agree. But so Hawkman is just not Hawkman. But then again, is that more egregious than Tothadam not being Tothadam? Because he's not at all. He's not Black Adam, guys. There's nothing Black Adam about him. Not his backstory, not his character, nothing. Now, you could easily lean into him like Doctor Doom, right? He
Mhm.
is 100% the protector of Kahndaq, and in the comic books, he always has been. He's a bit tyrannical, but in the end, the people of Kahndaq benefit from him being in charge, right? This
Right.
is this Black Adam. He's an asshole. He's a tyrant, but Kahndaq is his thing, right? So
Mhm.
having him, being this tyrannical, just sadistic, because it's not just that he kills, he enjoys it,
Yep.
right? That's the thing about Black Adam. It's one of the evil points. He's sadistic to the nth degree, right? But what you gave us was this rock character, which he did great at. I do agree with all the things you said. That is this. He's a hero. He's a straight up hero. There's nothing anti about him. He's just heroic. So what do you do? And this going back to the caption of this article, once again, why I chose this one. Trust me, there's like 30,000 stories about Black Adam out right now. I chose this
Mhm.
one very specifically, right? Because this is a cop out. Oh no, no, no! The fight between that's not what's important. There's more coming. Well, that's not what you've been selling it on. And of course, you
Well,
absolutely screwed yourself because there's no reason these two should be fighting at all. None.
I don't know if it's they're not going to fight. I think they are. I think they're just saying that that's not all they're doing. They're going to have a fight between each
Oh,
other.
sure,
I
he's
would
going to kill
say
someone, and Henry's going to say something, and they're going to get in a little
right.
2 minute scuffle.
Well, here's where the conflict between them comes in. It's the same place that him and Hawkman had one, which you're right. Actual Hawkman wouldn't really care.
No.
And I think you're absolutely correct where you said they wanted him to basically be Batman, but they just didn't have Batman available for whatever reason. Um, that's probably accurate. And maybe they just wanted to bring in Hawkman because he is a cool character. He's got a cool design if done well, and they did do him well. Anyway,
He
that's
did look good. That's
conflicts.
true. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the conflict's going to come in. Is obviously Black Adam has very little to no problem killing people. He'll kill whoever gets in his way. And he says this to a child even.
Hmm.
Uh, so Superman isn't going to like that because that's not Superman's style. The only problem that we're going to have here is we need to know who this Superman is because if he's Zack Snyder's Superman, he's fine with killing people. He's done it.
Yeah, and that's
So
another conflict, right? Because you can't sit there and say you can't kill people. You do.
yeah, you snap Zod's neck when there
But
was a
and
thousand other ways you could have got out of
and
that
how many
situation.
other people died with him fighting in the city? Another thing Superman would never do.
Right, he'd go up.
Yep.
He'd force him into the sky if he was going to fight someone that
Which they
powerful. He wouldn't
did,
fight him.
and then he brought him back to the city. It's like, what are you doing, Zack Snyder? This is why you don't let Germans touch good things.
But that's the problem. See, at least with the Hawkman uh, being very staunch and overzealous about not killing people, where Doctor Fate was kind of just like, eh, he didn't seem to care too much. But Hawkman was really on it, right? We don't kill people. That was his whole shtick. Um, it gave him more of a thing to play with. That's where the like the dramatic fun of this movie is between those two philosophies, which
Yeah,
is something that we all like as comic book fans. Is
and
where's the line?
The Rock won that hands down.
I
I
agree.
mean, there
Well,
were
it's his
many
movie.
great lines from the Rock in the movie, you dropped them, yes, and I waited for you to be there before I did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, his logic is clear. He's not a fool. They make sure to lay that out that he's not a fool,
Which to
right?
me is a good thing, right?
It is. It is.
Aside from the fact that he isn't a villain, which is stupid, I agree. I think they had every opportunity to just do that
Oh, it would
turn,
have been
let
great.
him be the villain.
Oh,
Um, but they didn't do it, and that's a huge missed opportunity in my opinion. But since they didn't, at least they didn't make him a moron,
all
right?
right.
He's not an idiot. Everything he does, there's a reason for it. It's believable, it's understandable. There's not just some random scene where he all of a sudden does something completely out of character. No, the character they wrote, while not Black Adam, is a good character simply because he stays within his own
Yeah, that's true.
rationality.
It's just not Black Adam. That's true.
Yeah.
But you know what they should have done? This should have been a quick hour and a half movie where he's wakes up, he's on a rampage. They can't beat him, but he can't. There's two. They bring in. They should have brought in more characters, like our army type as well. And he, you know, he can win, but he notices that Kondak is getting destroyed, and he loves Kondak, so he
Yeah.
makes a deal. And in the end, they leave, and he agrees that he's going to, you know, you stay out of Kondak, and I'll stay out of your world. And then the
Mhm.
second movie, he hears about, you know, Captain Marvel, and he leaves
Right.
Kondak and kicks the shit out of him, right?
Yep.
And then he broke
Unfinished
the
business.
treaty. He broke the treaty. Then the third movie, Superman comes in, right?
Yeah.
That's what you do. That's how you do it. Little
But
tight
they're so
movies.
scared, man. They're so even Marvel's scared now, it seems. They're just scared to lay that groundwork and just I think it's honestly they're suffering from the success of the MCU because the MCU did it and it worked, but now they all feel like it'd be a massive step back to do that, right? To do the groundwork movies, like your first Iron Man movie, your first Thor movie. First Thor movie is objectively not a good movie, but the first Iron Man movie is a pretty good movie. Uh, but regardless, they're laying groundwork. They're paving the road right now. Boom, boom, boom. So they can get up to the highway and go full speed when you get to Infinity War. We won't talk about the sequel to Infinity War. Uh,
Oh,
but
no, no, no.
my point is, they're all afraid to do it. And I
Yeah.
really hope that now that they've established who this Black Adam is, and I hope he stays intelligent. I hope there isn't a point where he just does something because the script needs him to, and that's just what he's doing now.
Yeah.
So hopefully they can keep that going. I don't know how they're going to have a major conflict between the two. It's
Yeah.
probably basically going to be what you said because Amanda Waller told him to not leave Kondak, and he said, "Fuck you." Basically, I'm going to do what I want.
Yeah.
Um, and then Superman shows up and says they need to talk. So I have a feeling that is probably what's going to happen, and then he will find out because we know the Shazam movie's coming too. Captain Marvel movie's coming as well. So I have a very strong suspicion that that's probably what they're going to do. Is he's going to hear that there's a new champion, and that's just going to set him off, right? He's just going to he can't have that, so he's going to go confront him, and then that's when Superman and he'll get involved, probably to save Batson because Batson's getting his ass kicked. Uh,
Yeah, you know they will. And
yeah,
Eric says, "Is it race swapping when integral character trait is constantly being reincarnated?" You know, you could say that with Hawkman, and that's why I'm not being so fierce about it. However, it's once again an apology for what they're doing because you know why he was made black, Eric. You know why? That wasn't organically done. It was like we need to have the black peoples in this movie, right? And that's why they
it's just funny
swapped him. Same thing with
because guys,
Cyclone. Another
guys,
redhead swapped out with a black girl. It's
guys,
political. It's not organic.
The Rock's black.
Well, he's
He's
Polynesian, but yeah, okay. Well, he's half
no,
black.
he's half black. Yeah,
He
his
is half
dad was
black.
all black.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
And that's fine. He's perfect for. He looks like
oh,
he's a good choice
fantastic. Yeah,
for
he
him.
really is.
He does
This is
sell
why
Egyptian well. He does.
I would say if you just like good action, if you like the way I look at this movie is I look at it more like a kaiju movie. It's not a good movie objectively, which some kaiju movies are, but most of them are trash. But they're fun to watch because the action's interesting or cool or whatever.
Oh yeah.
That's what this movie is. It's a
If
brawler.
Oh yeah, if you
It's
can
a
suffer
stupid
through
brawler.
when Dwayne's not on the screen, then
Yeah.
you're fine. But
But that's
trust me, you're
fine, though.
suffering when he's not on screen a lot.
That's a good sign though, because if it's not him who is the main character and the most important character of the whole damn thing, then that means the other stuff is the problem, and the other stuff can be tooled around
Oh yeah,
him
he's
and
not the
made better.
problem. at all.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, he's the only thing that saves this movie,
yeah,
and a little bit of Pierce Bronson. Pierce Bronson is he does a fair job. They just didn't give him time to breathe, dude, and
that's true.
that's a shame. It should have been
Now,
he should have been the main character until Black Adam came in.
I actually really like that idea. That would have made a lot of sense, especially considering he's freaking Dr. Fate. They even make mention that his helmet is millions of years old, and yet for some reason he's just completely in the dark about who Black Adam is. He has no idea who this guy is. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. He should at
No,
least know
no,
what he is. He should know he's a champion of the Wizards, right? He should at least know that. Be able
yeah.
to, even if he doesn't know the specifics, he would know just by looking at him what he is. He
Mhm.
would know that power.
And it's
So
another thing with a race swap with the wizard Shazam, because you keep in mind that's the wizard's name.
that's right.
Shazam, making him a black dude. I mean, it could have been worse, but I mean, really, he should be Egyptian,
Yes.
right? Is what he should be. He should be an Egyptian, right? And if you really want to get technical about it, but no, they give us some South African guys. Like what? Sorry, go ahead.
Over here is trolling a bit. He said, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure I'll love it since Chester kind of liked it a bit.
Yeah, no, no, no. You just have
Mm.
to ignore everything when the rock's not on the screen. And what
Yeah,
Thundera said is very, very poignant, because when he's on screen, even though he's not Black Adam, but then again, most people don't know who Black Adam is, so this is what they get.
sure.
But when he's on screen, it's great. When he's not, it's intolerable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the good that's actually a good thing though going forward, especially if this movie makes the money that it looks like it's on track to make. Because like I said, they can fix that. That's fixable. If it was The Rock that was the problem, they're screwed. There's nothing they can do about that because he's The Rock, right? He doesn't have to change. They have to change for him. But since he came and brought it, one of his best performances, an actual performance for once in his career, um, that means that they can work around him. And we know Henry can kill Superman. That's not a problem. We know that Gale can kill Wonder Woman when she's not given ridiculous material. So these are three good signs. I don't hate the guy who plays Shazam. I think he does fine. It's a little bit too goofy, but it's Shazam. It's supposed to
Oh,
be a little
dude,
goofy.
have you seen the trailer for the new
I
Shazam
have. I
movie?
am not looking forward
Wow,
to it. It
dude.
looks like freaking Power Rangers,
Holy
but
shit.
we'll get there. We'll get there. I think my boy is Aquaman, whose name just went out of my brain, does fine. He'd been a better Lobo, but he's fine. Um, so I really think they do have a strong foundation. I actually think The Rock was a key piece because he is that darker character that he can get darker and it's not betraying his character. He could get way darker and it wouldn't betray his character. Whereas if you turn Superman into bad guy Superman, well, that's just stupid and nobody really wants to see that. Or if you have Batman out here shooting guns from his Batmobile, that doesn't even make any damn sense,
No,
right? That
it
that's
doesn't.
completely
Yeah,
contradictory.
it doesn't.
So at least they now have a character who, if they need to do something dark with, he's there to do it. He can do that now. I don't know. I see a lot of potential, and I think that was the point of this was to see where they could go and to build off of it. And I really do think it's only up from here because
Yeah,
this was
probably.
probably one of the worst, besides the BVS, which I don't even consider that as existing. This was one of the worst objectively as a film. But when it came time to do like action scenes and the cinematography and stuff, it was actually really good. And The Rock's performance was probably the best he's ever given, to be
Yeah, it was
honest.
fun. It was fun. Yeah. Let's get some of the chat because there's a lot going on over here. Eric continues by saying the Rock wasn't black enough to be John Henry. The outrage was intense. Well, having him in would draw, and the money would make the movie would make money. But to be fair, there are plenty of big buck black actors who would be better choice. I mean,
Yeah.
let's be honest. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure I will love it. So, yeah, okay, you read that. Elroy said Rowan Atkinson cannot be replaced by Big Gay Rock. There is only one Black Adder. You are correct, sir. You are correct. Yes. Chester, they think black is Egyptian. You should know that by now. All of Africa is black. No. Egypt is a Mediterranean story, which means it's a European story. Anyway, Wesley Snipes was Black Adam. I know. I know. No one day not one word. I don't understand what he means by this. But no, he's too little. John, Dwayne Johnson's perfect for the playing Black Adam. He's literally perfect. You couldn't cast someone better. Roman Reigns played Aquaman. Yes, he did.
Might as well have. They
Yeah,
do look strikingly similar, Jason
they do.
Momoa and Roman.
Roman's got a great look. I understand why McMahon wanted to push him so hard. The problem with McMahon is he pushes things too long.
Yeah,
He
he doesn't
needs
know
to,
when to let off.
yeah, he doesn't let off the gas when he should. The same problem with John Cena, right? I
Yep.
mean, back off a little bit with John, and I think it would have been more endearing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing that a lot of people and movie makers as well forget. Sometimes the hero just needs to lose.
Yep.
Just needs to fail. Needs to give everything he's got and it not be enough, so that way he can come back stronger and overcome the odds. If they never have anything that they lose to, then nothing. There's no stakes. We all know they're going to win, and that can be okay depending on who we're talking about, and depending on the era and blah 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 blah. Like Superman, for instance, but Superman loses sometimes, and that's okay
Yeah.
because he comes stronger. He learns from his mistakes. There's nothing wrong with. In fact, you need your hero to fail. That is what makes a hero's journey compelling. If the
Right.
hero never overcome anything, then they're not a hero. They're just a plot device. That's
Right.
all they are.
Although I really think Conduct needs to open its borders to immigration because 20 people can't run a city. I mean, it's so lame, dude. My God, it was so freaking
That
lame.
undead army thing was really
It was
stupid.
so
That should
lame.
have been. They added absolutely nothing to the story.
Okay.
Absolutely nothing. They had their story laid out. They could have went with another 5-10 minutes with Sabak and Black Adam brawling, and instead we get this weird undead army that they have to fight.
It's so brain dead. But you know what we haven't mentioned, and it's important to mention because of the level of stupidity. It's beyond belief to me. The group that is controlling Conduct because they're stealing their unobtainium, and I know it's called internium. Fuck off. But Intergang,
Yeah.
Intergang,
I was stunned by that too. I was like,
huh?
"Oh, what?
Dude,
Why
the
is
Justice League,
Intergang?"
Superman, Batman, everybody would have been on that day one.
That's what I'm saying. And literally, that's the point the lady makes.
Yeah.
Intergang came and invaded us, and you guys didn't do anything. Where were you?
It doesn't make
And
sense, dude. It doesn't make
that's
sense.
a good question. Where were they? Why was
It's
nobody there
it's
stopping them?
ridiculous, dude. The whole, I mean, who over at DC said, "Yeah, let's pull out Intergang. It doesn't make any sense at all, but let's do that." I mean,
Again,
God, it didn't even have to be some comic book reference, dude. Just some generic
Warlord.
corporation. Tie it into Lex
Yeah,
Luthor. How about that?
there you go. There you go. Right? Have it be some subsidiary of LexCorp. Done. Easy. Um, I don't know, man. I think it was literally just again, they're just trying to broaden the universe, and they know Intergang's out there, so hey, it's Intergang. Because literally, I've mentioned that to a couple
So
people that it's
stupid.
Intergang, because they never mentioned that in any of the trailers that I saw that had anything to do with Intergang, and they were like, "Oh, really? Intergang's in this movie?" I'm like, "Well, not really. They're kind of there, but they're not. They matter. Fuck all. They don't
Yeah.
matter at all.
Yes.
They're just name dropped."
Yes. And of course, the last thing before we move on, because I already see the boy in this movie is god awful. He's just god
Yes,
awful, right?
yes,
And he's a major focus because Black Adam is attaching onto him because his son died.
yeah.
Okay. But anyway, once again, I mentioned it, a foreshadowing before. Uh, this insanely stupid and cliche idea that we've seen in I can't even count how many movies. The fact that we're going to sacrifice the entire planet for one little boy or girl
Hmm.
or mom or grandma or papa. I don't give a shit. No, no. Listen to Spock. Spock is wisdom.
Yeah. No, it was that whole thing there. There was a lot better ways they could have, and it's kept Black Adam in character. Had him be like, no. There's no reason why he shouldn't know what Sabak is. Why doesn't he know that? He should know that. He should have that knowledge just because he has the power to know that this is a threat, that he can't let Sabak happen. We didn't need this whole like rigmarole they went through to get to
We
Sabak
didn't need
with the little
Sabak in
boy.
the movie at all. at all.
I think he should have just been set up for the next movie, is what they should
Maybe,
have did.
sure,
Yeah.
but he shouldn't have been in this movie. It should have been all about containing and finding some solution to the problem that is Tothodam. That should
Yep.
have been the entire movie. It should have ended as him being his. And oh my God, The Rock would have murdered the heel dude. He would have
Yeah.
killed it. I mean, because he already shows, and then they soften him, dude. The way he was playing him as being just this heartless tyrant, that the only thing he actually cares about, because keep in mind, with the initial reboot, which I think is stupid, but with the initial reboot of Black Adam, he kills his own son to steal the power of Shazam, right?
Yes.
Though, okay, that's not the original story, but all right, I can get on board with that. But now we've retconned it yet again,
Yep.
right? And I know the
And his
comics
son
have done that
willingly
all
gave
wrong.
it to him and blah blah blah.
It's stupid.
I didn't hate that for this character, especially considering he wasn't dark-hearted, right? So if they had shown him before they revealed that it was him, even though it was obviously him because it was The Rock's voice, if they had shown that and shown that he had a dark heart to him, not just a apathy, right? He was very apathetic, right? He didn't want his son to get involved because heroes end up in the graveyard, da 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 da. He didn't have a lot of evil in him. He just didn't, it was much more a pragmatic apathy.
Mhm.
Uh that it's fine for that story, but I wish they would have went with the other story because
Oh, it
they
would have
set
been
it up.
much
They set
cooler,
up
dude. Yeah.
that he was not a good guy, that he betrayed, that he did all this. They could have had that be the hook. Was not that his son gave it to him willingly, that he tricked his son and stole it from him. That would have been cool,
Yeah,
but that's
no, it
not
would
what
have
we
been
got.
better. Honestly, the way Black Adam should have been written from the inception, but we're going way, way back, and they didn't think like that back then. But the long-term thinking was that, he is dark-hearted in a way, because he's fanatical about Kondak, right? And
Hmm.
the wizards are altruistic to the point of nihilism, right?
Right.
And that would have been a much better springboard, than what any of the stuff they've done with Black Adam. But it doesn't matter. This is what we got. Once again, if you want to go watch the movie just for The Rock, cool, because he is great when he's on screen. But there is some insufferable shit in this movie, dude.
Yeah.
It's so stupid Hollywood cliche. Um, but anyway, we got to move on because we talk about it all day and we just keep going in circles, I'm sure. But
But
you know,
Henry Cavill's back. His
yeah,
suit is
that
at
is
least
good.
brighter and more colorful. It still looks like plastic, and I hate that. I don't understand how they got Black Adam's suit to look so good and his looks so terrible, but they did.
Yeah,
So hopefully they fix that going forward. I'm telling
yeah,
you,
it's just a
I don't
cameo.
want I don't want Man of Steel 2. I don't. As much as people I like Man of Steel. Man of Steel was shit. And the reason it was shit is because that's not Superman.
It's not.
Superman doesn't break Zod's neck in front of other people. That's just not he doesn't battle a dude through multiple cities and kill who knows how many people.
Yeah,
That's just not what he does. He's
yeah,
not a coward. He's not a thief. He's not a guy who, even if his dad told him not to act, he's still going to go act.
yes,
That's who he is.
yes, and his dad would have never said that anyway.
No.
Not the John Kent we all know and love. But yeah, no, and same thing could be said for Black Adam. Same thing.
Yeah.
It's not Black Adam. This is their DC universe, and fair enough. Okay, we can
Fine.
accept that. All right, the movie universe is not the comic one. Okay, fine, that's fine.
Fine.
But I just wish it were a better movie, is all.
Yep.
Because because the thing is, The Rock showed up.
Yeah, he
He
did.
showed up,
He
dude.
brought his game.
He did.
Brought his game. Pierce
Why
brought
did
his
no one
game, what
else?
little he was given.
Yeah, no,
But
that was a
for the rest
mistake,
of it,
dude. They should have given that character much more screen time and let it breathe. Because as it is, I don't think it's going to be that memorable for people in the long run because they just rushed his character so much, and it's a shame.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now he could still, I guess, come back through some magical apparition dealio
Now, dude, they
with
killed
the
him off
helmet.
because they want a black woman in the helmet. You know they do.
Oh God,
You know they
probably.
do.
But they could still have him be around in like a guiding mentor
Sure.
situation
You
as a
know, the
ghost or
Force
whatever.
Ghost type of thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
but it is such a shame. He was so good. He was so smooth as he always is. Even my wife was like, "Man, he is an attractive man." Yeah,
Yeah,
Pierce Brosnan's a sexy guy,
he
even as an
was
old man.
he was a Bond. He was
Yeah.
Remington Steele. I mean, come on, Elrod. Now, come on, Elrod. The movie would have been better if it wasn't The Rock making the Scorpion King sequel he thought he deserved. Dude, there's zero comparisons to the Scorpion King. It's not even in the same area of the world.
Uh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Um,
But anyway, let's move on here. Now, I'll gotta come back to this in a second. Let's continue with this right here because I need to go put a water on the boil. You go ahead and introduce this, and let me throw some water on.
Look at this name. You would. Rumor: Marvel seeking to cast Aquaman star Yahya Abdul Mateen II as race-swapped Wonder Man. What is that name? I'm sorry, rest of the world, but some of your names are silliness. They're just silliness. I'm not a big Wonder Man guy. I know Chester's a pretty big Wonder Man guy. I would hate this, especially considering it just seems completely unnecessary. One, even to bring Wonder Man in at all, but if you're gonna bring him in, why would you bother with this? Especially with some guy who I didn't even know he was in. I don't remember who was he. Was he Manta? I'm guessing, or was he his dad? Uh, I don't remember him. That's how memorable he was. So yeah. I hope they don't do this. I really truly hope that we don't get Wonder Man at all if they're going to do anything like this because it's just completely unnecessary. Um, the it's the fact that they say Aquaman star is what tripped me up there because he's not in any way, shape, or form the star of that movie. He is a tertiary bit to that movie. Now he could have been the star of that movie, him and his character. It could have been fine, but that's not the movie we got. We got a much grander stage for old Aquaman, old Arthur. It's a shame, and I don't know what the plan is for Aquaman 2. I think they're making it, or they're in the process of making it. I don't know why they wouldn't be. It made a lot of money. So this seems like an interesting rumor. I don't know how true it is. I don't know if it's true at all. Um, yeah, this is a tough one because I don't know. Again, it's a rumor. It's from Spencer. It's very possible. It's just what would they do with Wonder Man? That's what's another thing that I'm trying to sit here and think. Where does he plug in? Where do they plug him in right now with what's going on in the MCU? The MCU is in shambles. Let's be honest. I don't know if only the most severe apologist could sit here and say it's in a good place right now. Is shambles maybe being a little rough on it? Okay, fine, but it's not in a good place by any stretch of the imagination. We've had Thor, which was effectively a flop. Uh, Doctor Strange made quite a bit of money compared to what a lot of people thought it would, but it still didn't make as much as I think they were hoping it was going to make. If I remember right, there was reports they wanted it to be $1 billion movie. It fell just short of that. The only real hit they've had in the last 12 months was Spider-Man, and that's a shared movie with Sony. So as far as I'm in understanding, they have to split the revenue on that. At least there's some breakdown to it. I don't know the exact figure. So I don't think they're doing well. Like they're just not. You can't.
Yeah,
There's objectively looking at Marvel right now, the MCU. It's not in a good place, is what I was saying, Chester. They're gonna pretend like they are, but some of the stuff they did last year soured the audience. It should have
yeah.
soured them at Endgame, but everybody seems, besides you and me and a few other people, everybody seems to like Endgame. I don't know what they're watching because it's trash. But everybody else since then, they have just had stumble after stumble after stumble, and I'm being generous by calling them stumbles
Right.
because the things they're doing is intentional and it's stupid and it's killing their brand, yet
Well,
they persist.
Well, and maybe the debacle that is She-Hulk will, kind of kick things back to the other way a little bit. I mean, because they really just make entertainment. I agree 100%, Eric. He says, I don't think Wonder Woman fits the MCU, being that his connections to the Vision would make him a hugely difficult to weave him in. I agree.
Yeah.
Although they would just change the character like they've done with other things. But this headline here is also ridiculous, more race swapping nonsense.
Yep.
I mean, because the thing is, if you live live outside of America these days, you would assume that 60% of the population is black, right? By watching Hollywood movies and TV and stuff, because that's what they keep doing. Everything is being replaced, and we all know who. If you're going to do Wonder Man, it's Nathan Fillion. He's perfect. He's actually the perfect age for it right now. He's the older actor who is corruption has seeped in and him trying to desperately save his career. It's perfect. He's perfect for it. And as far as making him Wonder Man after the effect, when we're not, I did a any of you were interesting in one of our past comics news today. I did a full, review on Wonder Man and how his powers are, so you can go watch that. But so I won't get into that now.
Okay.
But we saw they took Mr. Muscle Man himself and made him more muscly for Thor: Love and Thunder. They even made Natalie Portman muscly. So we know they can CG that part in, no problem, right? For him when he becomes Wonder Man. But Nathan Fillion is Wonder Man if you're going to do that character, right? In all honesty, I don't know that you would have to change that character so much for him to be in the MCU anyway. I don't know that it's necessary, but I guess we're getting this dude, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But there you go. Love, love. Ooh, my water is starting to boil. I should get that. You can go ahead and tell him that I'm right. Thundero. Uh-oh. Oh, that is a great picture, though. I don't know what has happened to the Thundero. He's still here, but he's muted for some reason. No.
I had to use the facilities real quick. I said BRB.
Oh, I'm
Um,
sorry. Yeah, let me go grab this before I start a fire. Okay.
but yeah, no, that's what I was saying too. Is I just don't see how they're going to fit Wonder Man in. They would have to do dramatic changes to his character. I don't think he's such a side character, such a character most people don't even know of. Most people probably don't even know there's a Wonder Man. They could probably get away with doing just about anything with this guy, and it would, as long as they did it well, it would work. Kind of like Guardians of the
Go
Galaxy.
get your water. Go get it.
I think you got it. Whew, I made it back in time, I think. Um, but I just don't have any faith in their ability to do this. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. I really don't want to see them do a bad Wonder Man. Chester really kind of sold me on him when we went over it the other day. Sounds actually like a really cool character that they could do a lot of really cool
Yeah,
stuff with.
Nathan Fillion is the perfect character actor for him too.
Yeah, I agree. From what Chester was saying, I
Yeah.
think he made a strong case for that. So I haven't really checked it out. I might check out more Wonder Man because I do like the concept of him.
Yeah. Oh, he is cool.
And it's one of those characters that if they can get it right, he can be a B+ player for him. He can be one of those guys who's just there, right? And he's always reliable, dependable type of guy if they do it right. But they have to do it right, and that's where the rub is because they have not
Yeah.
been doing things right for over a year now.
Yeah, he's one of the characters that made the West Coast Avengers when the West Coast Avengers was out in the 80s.
Yeah, but he was also a dynamic character because keep in mind
He was,
he
yes.
started as a criminal, like Hawkeye, and he got himself turned around. His brother is also Grim Reaper, which would be
Grim
interesting.
Reaper, yep.
Yes, Eric, the eternity of Hoop Snake. Yes, sir.
Hmm.
Eric is a very, very old friend of mine, by the way. Eric Smith here in the chat, excessively knowledgeable about comic books, and he was one of the dudes one of my high school friends that we used to play Marvel superheroes and D&D all the time together when we were kids.
Is he the only high school friend that's still alive then?
Yeah, no, well, he's older than me, and we didn't go to high school
Oh,
together.
okay.
Yeah, so he's
All
not
right.
actually one of my high school buddies. Unfortunately, all my high school, my age high school friends are all dead.
Yeah,
But
I remember you saying that.
yeah, Eric and his brother and that gang is still around. But I
Oh.
just didn't I didn't go to school with them. Wonder Man had a great story in the '80s where he was struggling actor and joined the way. Yeah, no, it is a great story, Eric. It definitely is. And the other Eric, just mentioned it. He's a cool character, but it's
Sure.
just there's no need for this race swapping, and we keep seeing it. And the thing is, there are some really cool black characters, but they're not bringing them in for some reason.
Yeah.
They're just race swapping stuff, and there are certainly some background characters you can race swap or gender swap. They're fine. I think we all agree that Sam Jackson's Nick Fury is way better than David Hasselhoff's. Yes, anybody?
Yeah.
I spoke
I
truth and
probably, yeah.
silenced. Yeah.
Oh,
Probably,
what'd you
yeah.
say? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Oh, fine. Now I won't repeat it.
I
Uh,
heard you.
yeah, yeah,
I heard you.
yeah.
And I would say, yeah, I think Sam Jackson, he just owned that role, which
He
is
did.
why, the
He
race
did.
swapping thing wouldn't be a big deal if they were just doing it because they wanted a bigger name actor or they wanted somebody
Sure.
who just brings it. But when they're not, that's not why they're doing it. And we all know it, and we're supposed to celebrate the fact that they're being blatant racists and pretending like they're
They
doing a
are.
good thing.
Yeah.
And it irks me, Chester. It irks
It
me
does.
deep in my cockles, and I don't like to be irked in my cockles. That's not
No.
where I want to be irked.
No. And it's just once again, it doesn't make any sense. I'm not going to spend much time on this because it's just dumb. Nathan Fillion is so perfect for Wonder Man at the exact
Hmm.
age he is right now.
Yep.
He's perfect for it.
Yeah.
And Nathan Fillion is one of those dudes that we all love. He's a nerd icon, and he has been passed over so many damn times, dude. It's not right. It's not right. But anyway, let's move on to one of a bigger conversation I wanted to have today. Um, let's see. Elrod says Chester's High School was built on a toxic waste landfill that was on top of an Indian burial ground. This is true. This is true. You don't know my struggles, Elrod. But anyway, let's get into this right here, which I wanted to talk about.
Brad Pitt says it's, quote, exhausting to have to constantly chase the Clint Eastwood image of masculinity.
Okay. Now let
Okay.
let's start this conversation right. Brad, love you, baby. But you're not Clint Eastwood. You never have been. You're a hippie. Okay. Yeah, Clint would have hated you. Yeah, still probably does. But the concept what he's talking about, I do understand. But Brad Pitt is there's nothing Clint about you, buddy. It's not your
Yep.
shtick. And you know what? You don't need to be because you're Brad Pitt, dude. Right? You don't need to be Clint. But what he's talking about more is, because Brad's our age, Eric,
Hmm.
and he's talking about how we grew up and our dads and our grandpas and our uncles and all the men around us really had that kind of standard masculinity about them, which,
Well,
he's
they
used.
were men.
They were men, and he's just kind of using Clinton as an example. And the thing is, Clint Eastwood was very popular because men identified with him and women wanted him.
Oh yeah.
That's it. That's all there is to it, right? It's not that
That's the trick.
complicated. And Brad here is not that. He's never been that. Now, I want to talk more about the masculine aspect of it, but I will bring out one little point of this article I thought was interesting because we know Brad's a hippie, and I like Brad. He's entertaining, and he is what he is. I don't want him to be something else, but he does go on here talking about taking responsibility for his actions in the past, and whinging and whining a little bit. But the thing with it is, Brad, good for you, I guess. But understand your past women are not doing that.
Mm. Yeah.
They're just blame you. We just had Angelina Jolie come out with more violent accusations against him, which of course he's refuted. And we know it's ridiculous. This guy, this super ultra flower boy is violent. What are you talking about? Anytime we saw him and Angelina together with the kids, he had a kid in each arm, and the others were glomming onto his legs. We've never
Yep.
seen her holding one of those kids. They're always with Brad, right? Because he's a
Hmm.
he's a sweet, happy, hippie dude. Of course.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's a great dad, but she's just trying to tear him down more for money. And the thing is I wonder who has more money, because Brad's
He does.
successful, but I don't know. Angelina's made money, and she's a Voight, dude. He's not. His family
It-
isn't famous. He came out from nothing.
Came out of
um,
Missouri.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, he's just a good old
She's
Midwestern boy.
she's Hollywood royalty. But I mean, who are you going to believe more? The flower boy here, that is Brad Pitt, or the demon succubus who Satan cultist, literally, who literally walks around with vials of blood around her neck. Who are we going to believe here? Okay.
Well, here's my metric for all things when it comes to character disputes. Where are they from? She's a Californian. He's a Midwestern boy.
Yeah.
I'm going Midwestern every time.
Mhm.
That's just where I'm
Yeah.
leaning because I know Midwestern boys, and yeah, there's some assholes, but there's assholes everywhere. But by all accounts, Brad is not one of them. He is
No, he's a
actually a
sweet
pleasant man
he's a
to
sweet
work
puppy
with and to
dog
be
is what
around.
he is.
Yeah,
But and keep in mind, even her own daddy's disappointed in her, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So, but whatever. That's not what I want to talk about. It's just it's kind of part of the article. But masculinity, the idea of a man just being male, right?
yeah.
Because in this modern era, it is under incredible attack, and this
Oh yeah.
icon of maleness is not a new thing. It's kind of how we've always been because it's simply how men naturally do. But it's under incredible attack right now. The idea that men are not supposed to be men anymore. And they're doing everything they can, at least in the media, and that at least from their point of view, they're trying to destroy it. And I would ask this question now. Eric and Thundero here are from the Midwest.
Yes, sir.
Eric, you're a little more north. I think you're a little bit more central Thundero. But
Mhm.
how is it in your day to day life, Eric? I mean, when you walk around the world and you go to the supermarket, are people just people, or have things really changed in the way that the social media and the mainstream media wants it to?
Uh, well, that's a good question. I mean, usually when I go outside, I go to Walmart, and people are just freaks there. Uh,
Hmm.
you know, I don't see a lot of people like running around hollering injustice and all this stuff. Uh, you could see it in the mannerisms of a lot of the people. Many of the men are sissified.
Hmm.
I see that a lot. A sissified generation of men.
Yeah, no, I think I've noticed that, at least with people sitting by while people are getting beaten or literally raped on a train car. I
Raped.
keep bringing
Yeah,
that one
yeah,
up, but
yeah, yeah.
there's many examples. I don't understand that, and Eric's in here, and John Wayne is a good example, Eric. But we were nerd dudes, right? Although we like sport too, but we were nerd guys, and not one of us in our nerd troop would have ever stood by and let something that happen. We would never have done that. We weren't the big popular super jocks. That's not who we were. We were nerds. But we would have never stood by and let something like that happen, you know?
Well, that's
Um,
the thing, right? So, like the classical view of what a nerd is should be that, right? They should be both athletic and intellectual. That is traditional masculinity. You're supposed to do both, or at
yeah,
least attempt to do both.
we love playing sports. We do
Yeah,
baseball and football. We did all kind of shit.
yeah. I
We
play. I
enjoyed it.
played all kinds of sports as
Yeah.
well. The I what I think he's trying to say here, at least I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, is he's not decrying traditional masculinity per se. What he's decrying is that it's more difficult than it used to be that, and that's why it's exhausting. That's what I'm guessing he's saying. I haven't read this article, so I have no idea.
Well,
That's
yeah,
what I'm
in a
guessing he's
way,
saying.
and I think he's also trying to say, well, I'm just not that, which he's not. And
No,
I'm really
he's a
just
hippie.
these days trying to focus on just being me, the unabridged version of me. And I agree, right? But I was more interesting in the thought that the headline brings up than Brad Pitt's personal experiences, because it really seems this way. Now, Eric is saying that there is a lot of sissification going on, which is seems to be the
Yes,
point. What about you're much more central in kind of the center of America,
literally.
Thundero. How's it in your area when you go out and just walk around in your normal life?
It depends where you go. So I live right on the edge of a moderate-sized city of Toledo. It's smaller than Cleveland, but a little bit bigger than Dayton. stuff like that, right in the middle. And then obviously Detroit's about an hour away to the north. So I live right in the middle. This town used to be a literal neutral zone vacation town for the mob back in the 20s and 30s when they would run all sorts of stuff through here and during Prohibition. And because of its central location. So to your point, yes, I'm very central, especially in the Midwest. And I would say it totally depends on where you go. If you stay in the more rural places, the men are just men. And what I've been doing here on the side where I'm selling things here or there and I have to go to people's homes and things and talk to them, you know where you're going by where you're going. And what I mean by that is you know the type of person you're most likely going to deal with. Perfect example of this, I went to this gentleman's house the other day with the wife to go pick something up.
Hmm.
This gentleman was in Michigan. And my wife, we were literally driving through this neighborhood. My wife was like, wow, it's really pretty here. I wouldn't mind living here. And I said, you want to live in Michigan? She said, yeah, I don't mind. Soon as we get up to this gentleman's house, she changed her mind. Because there's just a certain way that certain people act in certain areas that just rubs certain people the wrong way, myself included. And that's an example of what I'm talking about. It
Well,
depends where you go.
what
If
was
you
it?
go to, well, it was like noon on a Saturday. He's walking around with a beer in his hand. He's kind of dumb. There's just a stereotype of a Michigander that is very Midwestern. And this dude was very much that stereotype.
So,
I
So,
Daryl,
see.
is your wife not from Ohio?
no, my wife is from the city of Ohio. That's why.
Oh,
She
okay.
grew up
'Cause
in
I
the
know,
hood.
Michigan and Ohio, they got that feud.
Oh, we don't like each other. Don't ever let anybody from the Michiganders see they're up their own butt. They pretend, oh, we don't care. Yeah, bullshit. We don't
I was
like each
born in
other.
I was born in Michigan.
You know then. You know. You know the exact person I'm talking about, I bet. I bet you know 5 guys like that. Just like I knew, I used to say this all the time to people. John Moxley, the AEW champion, is from Cincinnati. And I'm like, you know what? I believe that. He looks exactly like 5 guys I know, and I'm not even in Cincinnati. I'm just in Ohio. It's just there's something about even regionally in America. But that's to my point though. It depends where you go. If you go into the big cities, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of these soy boys as we call them. They're not men. They're effeminate. They're very emotional. They don't know how to control themselves. They don't know how to behave. They don't have any honor or dignity or integrity, and it just radiates off of them. You
Oh,
can just see
yeah.
it.
Now I see it
But if
on
you
the
go out into the
social media.
country,
Yeah.
you go out into the more rural areas, the rural cities and towns, there's a lot less, if any of that. They're just men. So perfect example.
It's still
My
that way here, but
Yeah,
it's seeping more into the
it
rural
is.
area here
It
too.
is.
Yeah.
It's because of the schools, but that's another topic.
Right.
My nephew, he's 19. He was actually born on September 11th, which is crazy. He is a young man. Or wait, no, he'd be shit. He's older than 19. I'm getting old, boys. Uh, Regardless, my nephew, he grew up out in the country. My sister moved them out to the country where we grew up. Her husband is from the city. They could not be more opposite if they tried, right? They're just two totally different people, and it's because of largely where they were raised. Whereas my nephew is straight up a redneck. He's totally fine with it. He wears cowboy boots everywhere. He works construction. He is as country as you can find,
Yeah.
and he's totally cool with it. His dad is not. His dad is very much a city boy. So there is that dichotomy still. Like I said, it just depends where you go. But I do agree. I think it is starting to seep out more into the smaller areas, and it's because largely of the schools have forced it that way. I think though there's going to be a massive rebound in the next 10 years back to a more traditional style of masculinity, and the reason I think that is because of young men like my nephew. He is not in the minority. These boys, these young men in their early, I wouldn't even call them boys, these young men, early 20s, there is a lot of them that are ridiculous, almost too much machismo, almost too masculine, almost too macho. They have that energy about them that go get, that my generation did not have. My generation was a bunch of pussies from Jump Street. I know because I used to beat their ass. These guys were not men in their early 20s. They just weren't. They were little boys still. Whereas this new generation, Gen Z, a lot of them are not like that. I mean, my nephew was working a full-time job when he was 17, still in high school. That kind of
Sure.
stuff. Like
Sure.
that's what they are.
We all
Now
did. Yeah.
I was doing that too, but that's because that's how my family was. But other people's simply weren't like that, and I've met them, I've known them, and this sort of thing, I think, is coming to an end because the masculine urge to be a man,
Hmm.
the reason why traditional masculinity is fairly universal and lasted for so long is because it's just who men are. It's what we want to be.
Sure.
And you can't fight that. You can try and program it for as long as you want, and they succeeded for a very long time. But I think we're coming to the end of that now. And you're going to see this next generation. The dichotomy is going to be even more prevalent than we've ever seen
Yeah.
between the men and the boys
Yeah,
in a way we've never seen.
and that's a fair point. As a boy, you want to become a man, right?
Yeah,
But the juxtaposition of this is also an important part of the conversation, which we can't really have, because personally, it seems like the women have gone south as well.
yeah.
Because traditional femininity is a very powerful thing, and it sounds like we really need that to get that back. Eric says, "True, I would say it was a great balance. Plus, we were respected more because we were more truthful to ourselves. That's fair. We were, we're just." Kids being kids, Eric, and we had a lot of we enjoyed ourselves and didn't really care what anyone else thought. I think is a kind of big part of it. Although I will say Eric had the most awesome dad ever, dude. His father was cool as shit. I mean, my dad, he's a military guy, but he barely spoke. He just doesn't speak, right?
Hmm.
Eric's dad was super cool, man. Yeah, Eric has a really good family. But anyway, which is another problem we're talking about these days with Brad Pitt, broken families, right? Another good
Yep.
example. And of course, we know that Brad is soft. Not just listen to him speak, but the fact that he allowed things to happen that happened. I mean, Angelina got in on that kick where he want to adopt the foreign kid, make myself look good. It's a virtue signal. And like I said, when
Mhm.
we see her around the kids, she's not holding or interacting with them. Someone else is. They're just a piece of jewelry from her point of view, where he clearly is
Casual
a
acceptance.
loving dude. But
Yep.
he also let that happen, right?
Yep.
Because he
Well, that's
should
the
have
other
stepped
issue,
in on
right?
that, right?
Is you said it, that they like to use the term toxic masculinity. Well, that doesn't mean anything, but if it did mean anything, then that would mean there's a sort of toxic femininity as
Hmm.
well. And really, it's just lack of virtue. We come
Sure.
up with
Well,
these
they
new
both
terms
exist.
for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we just come up with these new terms. It's just not being virtuous. That's it. If we would strive for virtue in our society and stop promulgating liars and thieves, we would have much better way off. And the way you do that, though, is you have a generation of young men who refuse it, who just simply say no more, and the women will follow eventually. We're seeing this now, Chester. You led the charge. A whole lot of successful young men in their early 20s, whatever, who've made a lot of money by being very hardworking, perspicacious young men. Uh, they're leaving America to go find wives. They don't want the women here. They want a woman. Oddly enough,
Well,
they want a woman who treats them like a man. They think a man should be treated, and they're probably correct. And they want the woman to behave in a way that's peaceful. They don't want to have to deal with the nonsense that a
mhm.
lot of Western women bring. So that alone, if that keeps happening, we already saw the other day, 30% of men under 30 aren't having sex. They're not getting laid. And a lot of
Well,
those men are choosing
My
it.
God.
They're just like, no, I'm good. I'm out. And it's because the
yeah.
women around them aren't worth the trouble.
Well, there
They're
is a
just
lot
not.
of trouble to come from it. And just to clarify, there, Thundero, I
Yeah.
was happily single, going about my dating life. My wife trapped me. I
Uh-oh.
was not looking for women's.
Hmm.
Let's just be fair.
but
But
and, but you still blazed a trail, Chester. You
no, I
blazed a
guess, I
trail
guess,
right
yeah,
into the heart of Asia, and now other men are following you.
yeah.
Look what
Well,
you've done.
look what I did. But to be fair, though, it's the smartest thing I've ever done in my life. I mean, to be fair,
Yeah.
and this, I guess, is a little bit of luck involved, but I'm also very discerning, right? But I
We've
did
talked about it on here before, right? We've talked about how the MGTOW stuff and the men's rights movements have shifted
in a
in the
good
last
way,
few
because
years
it,
in a
it
good way.
wasn't good in the beginning,
No,
but
it
it
was
has
just
shifted.
whining.
Yeah,
It was very effeminate, actually. It was just
yeah,
whining. It wasn't doing anything but whine. Which is why I never really got on board with it because I'm like, guys, what are you doing? This isn't.
yeah.
This isn't. This is literally proving their point. Shut up and get to work. But anyway, uh, I think it's shifted. I think it's shifted back to a more understanding of traditional masculinity, what it is. It's not just you're the biggest. It's not just you're the strongest. It's not just you're the smartest. It's not just you're the baddest. It's that you're all of it. You don't get to just be an expert at one and then an idiot to everything else.
That's right.
You have to
Yeah.
expand
Well,
yourself
Well, the
in all.
interesting thing about that Thunder, when you talk about the shift that MGTOW is just like, hey, make yourself better, and it's not talking about women at all.
Yeah,
It's kind of a strange shift back to the centuries old feminist. It's what feminism was initially, because a lot of people misunderstand it, especially if you look at feminism today. But the original feminism had nothing to do with men at all. It had nothing to
right.
do with men. It was women talking to other women, say, hey, you're a housewife, you do your job and all that stuff, but you don't know anything about the world. You don't understand anything about economics. You don't understand about politics. You don't know nothing about the world. Be better, ladies. That's what
Right.
original feminism was. It wasn't about men,
Right.
right? And this new this the I don't even know if they should continue calling themselves MGTOW, because they've shifted into a much better thing, very much like the original feminism, and that's a
Yeah,
good thing. I mean, you should make yourself better if you really want a woman, make yourself worthy of one.
right.
I
Or
mean,
make it so
simply,
make yourself so strong, not just physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, whatever you want to call it, that it doesn't even matter if you never find a good woman. You are you, and you're okay with that. Now, you probably will. That's the secret sauce. Is the moment you get to that point, that's usually when you'll find one. But you have to be able to make when you look at you got to live with you for the rest of your life.
yeah.
So if when you're looking in that mirror, if you're not happy with what you see, if you would rather do anything other than actually look in the mirror and have a conversation with yourself mentally about who you are, that's not good. Because
Mhm.
you're stuck with you. You ain't getting away from you. You get away from a woman. You get away from anything. You can even get away from your children if you're that kind of person. I wouldn't recommend it, but you could. But you're stuck with. So if that reflection to you is grotesque in any way,
Change
it
it.
is your job to fix it.
Yeah, that's true. Well, anyway, I mean, this Bullet Train, by the way, is fun. Go watch it. But it's Brad, you do you, Brad. You ain't Clint, never have been, and you don't need to be, sir. You are
No,
beloved. But
just be Brad Pitt. Just be
you're
Brad.
Brad
Like
Pitt,
Tom
dude.
Cruise.
Yeah,
Just be Tom Cruise. We
yeah.
don't need you to try to be anybody else.
No,
We like you for who you are. Just be
no.
you. We don't. We'll ignore the weird Scientology stuff. All
We
right. We'll
will.
ignore it because you make good movies.
Yes.
Maybe we shouldn't, but we will, and we've proven that. So
Yeah.
just make good movies. Be you. Stop worrying about it.
Yeah.
That would be the most masculine thing to do. Actually, is just
Mhm,
be yourself and not worry about it.
mhm.
That's it.
So cool. All right then. I agree with that. And we're not going to break off into the actual big differences between John Wayne and Clint Eastwood and what they represented. But I get the concept. So let's go ahead and move on here. Talking about more rumors because we had this one. This is just wonderful, wonderful concept. Yes, we need this to happen. Do that.
Oh
Yeah. Uh-huh.
God, please,
But
please
we have
don't.
more.
Marvel scaling back Black Panther Wakanda Forever merch plans. I kill for some commas.
Yeah.
Plans out of concern that sequel's lack of T'Challa may alienate black male audiences. Well, it wouldn't if you would just give us M'Baku.
Yeah, exactly. And Spencer Bakali, get with the commas, dude.
Yeah, come on.
But
You got colons in there. Where's Bakamas?
well, this is kind of a theme in my byline there, because here we got a black actor being thrown into another white one. It's like you must be so proud.
Yeah.
But here's another one, because we know they're going with Shuri, which nobody likes. Right? She's going to be the new Black Panther. Yay. But where you have M'Baku sitting right there, and he's a perfect choice, a very loved character from that movie. And keep in mind, we all understand that that wasn't the greatest movie ever. It was a hot mess, kind of like Black Adam. It's very similar in that way. There were some fun points and bad points, right? But out of that movie, who really resonated? Well, two people, right? One was the guy they killed, so that's done. The other
Yeah.
guy is still alive in franchise, right? And that's M'Baku
Well, you say they killed him, but how did they say that they killed him?
with a blade through the heart, and he died in the sunset.
Wait, which guy are we talking about? I thought you were talking about Killmonger. Who are you talking about?
Killmonger, dead.
No, they threw him in the ocean.
Oh no, he's dead.
Uh, Listen, he said, "Throw me in the ocean."
No, he
Like my ancestors who
no,
didn't want to be slaves or whatever he said.
no, he's
And
dead.
now this new one has Namor coming. I'm just saying, if they were going to bring him back,
He's
that's how
dead.
you do it.
He's dead. And don't talk
Namor
to me
found
about
him.
Namor because
Namor
we've learned.
saved him. Did
Uh,
some Namor magic, and bam.
oh God.
You
Now
know it's coming too. You
it's
know it.
possible. It's possible. Yeah. But keep in mind, we've learned more about Namor because when we talked about that, we were a little bit back and forth because we were like, all right, actually, the costume didn't look that bad. Maybe, possibly,
Yeah.
maybe. But we've learned more. It's not even Atlantis anymore. They've changed the name. He's not Atlantean at all. They've changed it completely. So,
Correct.
okay.
Just because out of fear of Aquaman.
Yeah, exactly.
Which,
Yeah.
that is a sentence I never thought I'd ever say, that someone had fear of
I know,
Aquaman.
right? I know, right? Outside the pufferfish.
Uh,
But whatever. That's a different conversation. This conversation. Yeah. Well, what are you gonna do, dude? I mean, that first movie wasn't the greatest movie, but it hit real big with the racials in America. Okay, fine. Good for you. So make a movie for them. That was your audience. They absolutely went crazy over it. Okay, fine. So your money lies right there, right? So
yeah,
then how do you do that? Well, what you do with that is you make M'Baku go in and take the damn throne, and the black people would lose their goddamn mind. Well, the men would love it, and the women, of course, M'Baku, a big old strong black man, that's a good thing, right?
yeah.
But we're
It's a
not going to
good.
get that. So yes, it's the self awareness is palpitating here, Marvel.
Man, this could have been so cool too. This could have been a Wakandan civil war for the throne. That's what we could have had here with M'Baku winning it, because of course
Yeah,
that could have
yeah,
been cool.
it would have been
That
cool.
could have been
That's not
badass.
what we're
But
getting.
instead,
We're getting
yeah, we're
we're
gonna get a
getting
big hug box of a movie. That's what
right,
we're gonna
and in
get.
the end, you're gonna have the real villain show up, just like in Black Adam.
Yeah, just be a bunch
Um,
of white
yeah,
dudes. That's
yeah,
really.
yeah, yeah, great. But and the black dudes are not going to be pleased with it. I guarantee it. But here's kind of another theme I had because we just talked about the being Clint Eastwood and the being manly. And the thing is, that's not a white concept.
No, not at all.
It's not, right? When I was young, men were men. Didn't matter what their color was, and if you weren't manly enough, you were shamed into being so, right?
Yeah,
It didn't
That is
matter
correct.
what color you were, right, Eric? Who-
That's right.
Black? You got to sit here and tell me black men weren't masculine?
No,
Please.
everybody, well, almost
Everybody
everybody
was.
was. Yeah.
The thing with it is, if you talk, I mean, right now, being a white straight male is certainly difficult in the West, and it always has been because we don't have anybody that stands up for us. But in some ways, that's also liberating. But I would make the argument, and you guys might disagree with me, but I would make the argument right now it's worse for black men than white men.
yeah.
Uh,
No, I agree with you.
yeah,
They're the what's the canary in the coal mine. They're the
yeah,
test cases.
they are being
Um,
pussified to the nth degree,
Yeah,
dude.
they're pushing hard to pussify black men,
Yeah,
and it's simply because they're the most masculine men left in the West as a
probably.
group.
Yeah.
Uh, and that they, for some reason, the powers that be have decided that. Oh, I know the reason. Have decided that masculinity is must go. It's a thing of the past. Masculinity. Yeah. Good luck.
Uh,
Good luck with that.
Grimlock has showed up.
Uh-oh.
Grimlock has an opinion. Should I read it?
You should.
Okay. Um, sorry for the incoming French. A Black Panther movie doesn't have Black Panther. Might piss off the brothers. You don't fucking say. That didn't sound like Grimlock at all. Now, can you do a better Grimlock than me? Put a little bit of more of the brother in it. Go ahead.
Nope. I can't do it.
You
I can't
can't.
do it. No one can. That man's voice is magical. Can't
It
be done.
is. It is.
Can't
Well,
be
then
done.
come in here and say it yourself, Grimlock. Okay.
Here's the thing: is this movie is probably still going to make a bunch of money simply because that guy passed, unfortunately, which was tragic, no doubt.
Yeah, that was
Um,
sad. Yeah, that's really
I
unfortunate.
really, I really am with Grimlock and others who have said just recast the role, just
Yeah,
let
just
T'Challa
recast it.
just recast it.
We all get
It's
it, right? We understand.
It's been years.
we
I
get
mean,
it.
when did he die? Like
I mean,
2018, 2019? It's been a while
yeah,
since he passed. So I don't think anybody would be too butthurt about it. Just
no.
recast it and move on.
Or
And if
or
you're
do the
not going to
Umbaku
recast
thing.
it,
Yeah.
do M'Baku or somehow comic magic back Killmonger and have him just take over. Just something, right? Something other than put it on Shuri because she's just a throwaway character in this franchise. I understand that she's, super smart and blah 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 and all that, and
Well,
that's fine.
if you're black and
But
female, you're automatically super smart as far as the media is concerned.
what has she done that matters in the MCU? What?
Nothing.
She's done nothing. She's been a complete. You could take her out of both
She's a
Black Panther.
racist, if that
Yeah, you
matters.
could take her out of everything, and it would change. Nothing. Nothing would
Yeah.
change if you took her out of everything.
Now,
So I just don't like it. I don't.
well,
It's not even so much the gender swap. It's the fact that I don't like Shuri. I don't like the character. The actress is fine. I don't have any problem with her, but the character, it just doesn't. It's not going to work. It's just going to fail so hard if
yeah.
if she is like the Black Panther going forward, and that's not just a one-off shot of her in the suit for some reason. Uh, yeah, that's not going to work, guys. It might
Uh,
work in this movie. This movie's going to make a bunch of money in spite of itself, but going forward, it's not going to work.
I'm gonna have to bitch slap someone. You see this fake ass
Huh?
language sitting in front of me? You see this? You see this? Jesus Christ, man.
Like Marvel doesn't have the money to get an actual linguistic person, an
My
expert.
God, you throw a few pennies at me, Marvel. What are you doing? That looks like that weird icon language that you can use in the word processing stuff.
Yeah.
What a bunch of assholes. All right. Anyway, but
It's Wakandan.
yeah, here is a scene, and that's definitely Shuri in the suit. Now we don't know. There could be we just have a trailer. There could be a switch up. We could end up getting Killmonger back. You're right. It's
Or
definitely
Angela
possible.
Bassett.
Oh God.
Or maybe but the only actual choice is M'Baku. He's the
Yeah,
only
that's the one.
real choice. He would
Yeah.
make a great Black Panther, a ferocious one. It would be freaking glorious, dude. Because Black Panther
Fair.
with T'Challa is much more acrobatic type of guy, right?
Yeah.
In his fighting, but M'Baku is grab you and tear you limb from limb, literally.
Oh, bro.
Wow, dude.
Imagine when Wolverine shows up eventually, and you had M'Baku as Black Panther and Wolverine. For whatever reason, they decide they need to fight.
Hmm.
I'm here for it. I'd
Yeah,
watch
I would be
that.
all day, all day. It would be awesome. But
Yeah.
this is going to be a train wreck. But to be fair, like I said, the original movie wasn't a great movie. We all know this, but it did strike a chord with the racials.
Yes.
Because let's be fair, the whole hype and everything about it was racist. It was. I know people don't like coming out and honestly saying that, but that's what it was. It was pure racism. The pomp and circumstance surrounding the first movie, which is unfortunate because other than Shuri, there wasn't a lot of racism in the movie. Right? She was racist,
Yeah.
but there wasn't a lot. But this movie's going to have a ton of it in it. I guarantee you. This is going to be you, damn white man, right? I guarantee
Mhm.
this movie will be. They're going to lean
Oh,
into it.
I would be actually stunned if the end of this movie the antagonist isn't revealed to be a white man.
Oh yeah,
Probably British white man because
probably.
for some reason
Yeah.
that's the trope.
Well, they do
I would
suck.
be
I mean,
stunned. Well, yeah, but still, I would be genuinely shocked. I might actually give this movie an extra point or two on the ranking system if that doesn't happen, just because I would be so surprised that that isn't the case.
well, just go watch the trailer and you know it's not. It already is. Just watch the trailer; they're telling you exactly. But anyway, this is unfortunate. The whole situation around it. It's going to be a train wreck, I'm sure. Yeah, you never know. You never know.
Before you
But
move on,
yeah.
that rumor is false. I've been in Walmart and Target. They got giant displays in both of them for this movie. Of
Oh, I
I've seen a
merchandise.
see
lot of
the
merch.
merch.
I've seen a lot of
Well,
merch.
but also, I mean, if they do feminize it, which we know they're going to, the I would assume that the black dudes are not going to be pleased with it, right? You know,
No, they won't be.
so
They wouldn't.
Probably not.
probably not. But anyway, let's move on though to wonderful Wonderful news.
Walter Hamada steps down as head of DC Films, fifth executive to leave Warner Brothers following Discovery merger. To leave. No, no. They're not leaving. They're being expelled.
Yes, they
That's what's
are.
happening. It's time to go now. See, that's why. So, Black Adam, this is why I think at the end it's a positive. Because what needed to work in that movie did, and that was basically just The Rock. He needed to work. And Zaslav, the Axeman himself, still doesn't have. We still don't see his work yet, right? He
Not
just
yet.
got.
No. No.
So as long as he has foundational pieces, big pieces that work, they can build off of it. And now he's starting to, he's bringing the table back together. He's getting rid of the nonsense, like these 5 executives who all needed to go, obviously, and a bunch of other stuff. That's a good thing. So hopefully, once we do start to see the fruits of the axe, the fruits of the axe,
Hmm.
they are good fruits, and they're not rotten on the vine like everything Snyder gave us.
Well, so far the fruits of Zaslav are what we're not seeing.
That's right.
Mhm. But yeah, this is great news. Hamada's an idiot.
Yeah,
Yeah, just like all the other idiots. So they've cleaned the slate. None of them are left. He was the last.
I like the
All
thing.
these woke idiots are gone. Thank God. And Elrod, that's not a bad point. He says it's not Shuri, it's Black Panther's girlfriend slash wife. It might be. It
Could be.
might be. They could
Could be.
twist it
That would
like that.
be
Yeah.
even dumber, but it could be.
But I
It
mean,
could
it,
be.
it, it
Introduce
might be.
Storm.
Oh
Oh my
God.
God. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh God. Grimlock's gonna quit his job just to come in here and yell at you if you keep
Yeah. He
that
will.
up. You need to
Yeah.
knock that off.
Aw.
I
So
might too. I listen. There is one hero that they haven't touched really, truly, ever in cinematic world. I'm not going to count Halle Berry. It wasn't her fault. She did what they gave her. I want Storm proper. You're going to talk about all this race stuff about black empowerment and black women and putting them in a good light. Okay, here she is.
mhm.
She's the
well,
one. So you better not fuck her up.
well, rumor we're getting out of Disney is that they want to bring Halle Berry back as the core to a new reimagined X-Men.
What?
Mm. So,
Oh, isn't she like old? How
yep,
old's Halle Berry? Got to be in
she's
her
old.
late 50s,
She
right?
was pretty good in the last John Wick. I liked her in it.
Yeah, but as Storm, still at
Well,
her
as
age, I
an
mean, she still looks great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying she's ugly. She still looks fantastic, especially for her age. She looks
well,
amazing.
as a
But
elder matriarch, maybe.
oh no, I don't like
Ooh,
that plan at all.
56.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. I don't like that plan one little bit.
Well, that
We need.
seems
There's
like what they
plenty
want to
of
do.
young black actresses, some of which are fantastic. I've seen them in different things, who could pull off a Storm.
You're right.
Just go get them and
Well,
let
I
them
mean,
be Storm and get out of the way. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel with these characters and just tell the damn character story and get out of the way. That's
yeah.
all you got to do, Marvel.
Well,
Storm's a great character, a great one. Just get out of her way.
I think
Tell the story.
we've talked about this before, and Ben, which certainly has said and agrees with this, in the relation to the fact that really what they should do is leave the core X-Men on the table right now and just go because there's so many mutants you can tell stories about. Just do
Yeah,
that for a while. Introduce some of the less known stuff and just do good fun storytelling. And then eventually bring the X-Men back in. I really agree with that concept to leave them on the table, but they're not going to. These people are morons. You know it. And the thing is that Kevin Feige, even though he's getting a lot of pushback, he doesn't care. He's been let loose and he's going to keep doing as much. Now he's had power taken away from him here recently. Good. But as long as you let him make decisions, he's going to keep pushing this agenda because the thing with Kevin Feige, it's very clear, he's a true believer, right?
yeah,
And I think it's got to the point that honestly, and I hate to say it, but Disney needs to cut him loose. They need to
I
cut
agree.
him loose and get a new person in there to just say, hey, you know what? We want to make money. Let's make some good storytelling and have some fun. How about
And
that?
you can still have some of your nonsense if you must have it, Disney,
If you
because
did
we
it
know
right, sure.
if you do it right.
Yeah.
You just can't have it be your motor, your MO, your modus
Yeah.
operandi. You can't. It doesn't. Your modus operandi has to be making good shit. That's it. That has to be rule one. Or like all the crap you want to give, you can give The Rock or not even The Rock, but Black Adam, you can't give that to The Rock in this movie because he has been very clear. All he cares about is if the fans are happy. He said this multiple times for years. He just wants to make the fans happy. And so far, that seems to have been a success. That is the way it must be done. Tom Cruise with Top Gun Maverick, he said repeatedly he just wanted to make sure the fans were happy. As long as they're happy with it, he's happy with it. That's why he insisted on certain things like using real planes and everything. He wanted to please his audience, please the fans. That spirit is what needs to take over Hollywood.
Mhm.
None of this nonsense where you're antagonistic with your core audience. I don't even know who thought that was a good. What am I looking at? Who thought that? Is that Halle Berry? That was a
No,
good idea.
I'm giving
Uh,
Ron some love.
they.
That's a Domino from the Deadpool series.
Oh
Zaz,
yeah, 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 yeah.
this be the Zazzy Beats.
That needs to be the philosophy going forward. The philosophy of The Rock, the philosophy of your Tom Cruise, the philosophy of Chris Pratt is please the audience first. Play to the audience you have in front of you. See, The Rock learned that as a wrestler. Play to the audience in front of you, and then the
Mhm.
audience everywhere else will probably also be happy. The audience in front of you's happy. It's real easy to get everybody else to be
Sure,
happy.
because they're
Because
excited, they're making noise, they're talking
yes,
about it, they're creating
positivity is
YouTube channels
snowballed.
about it, they're
Bingo.
on, right? Free
Yes.
advertisement, right?
Yes.
Especially in this age. This is the thing that kills me about these modern Hollywood people and how dumb they are. You have this incredible SNS situation going on with
Yep.
Twitters and the Instagrams and the YouTubes and what all I can't even name all of them. Right? You could get your fans all excited. They're going to make all kind of free content talking about, and it's going to just have that infectious effect, right? Play with
Yep.
that. Use that. What are you doing? You're supposed to be a professional. These idiots, they do the opposite, where
They
people
do.
stop talking about your shit. And if they are, they're just complaining about it. Because that old adage, any news is good news, is not true. It's not.
Correct.
And we're seeing that play out here with the go woke, go broke thing, because it's real, right? I know there's
Mm.
idiots that come out there and try to say that isn't real. Yes, it is. We've seen so many things collapse and fail because of it. It is real. And all you have to do is play to your fans and they're going to create so much buzz for you, especially in this age. Back when Eric and I were young, what was the buzz? It came out of magazines. It came out of the occasional Entertainment Weekly little bit or something like that. It was much harder to get your core audience buzzed about something than today. I mean, would you agree with that, Eric?
Shoot, yeah, we didn't have anything like the internet.
No. We
You'd have to find a magazine. You
Yep,
might get a TV article about it, but that's
maybe.
about it.
That's about it, right? But these days you can use that to your advantage, dude. So, but whatever. It's,
No, that's
good
the problem,
riddance.
right? Is for whatever reason they fell into this trap of outrage marketing. And outrage marketing can work. It can get you attention. The problem is I have yet to see it translate into sales. I have seen zero evidence that pissing off the audience works to anything other than to piss off the audience.
Unless you
Yes,
do
you
it
can
the
get a
right
lot of
way.
well, right. You can get a lot of buzz, but like you said, not all buzz is good buzz. If the buzz is stay away from this thing, it's toxic. Screw these people. They did this. Had Luke Skywalker suck an alien tit and then try to murder his own nephew. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, that turns people away. They're like, oh, well, no, fuck you and fuck everything you stand for.
Right.
That's how people react to that.
Yeah.
So I think this idea needs to die on the fire that it was on the hellfire it was created in,
Hmm.
and we need to get back to trying to please your audience. Stop
Yeah.
trying to please
Well,
weirdos on Twitter that don't come to movies anyway. Stop it.
yeah. No, and
Stop
that's another issue. But also, what I meant by the opposite of where you can have outrage media work is an example would be House of the Dragon mocking the failure of Rings of Power,
it.
right?
Yes.
So they're actually joining in with their fans, right?
Yes.
But yet they're doing an outrage marketing type of thing. But good, because get him,
Look at him.
David.
Look at him. Look
Look,
at the axe
just
man. Look at him.
get him, David. Okay.
He even looks like the type of dude who'd fire you and not worry, not even
Oh yeah,
miss
yeah,
one beat of sleep.
that's
He's like,
true.
yeah, you're fired. Screw
You
you.
are
He'd fire
fired.
you on Christmas
He
Eve.
would.
Yes, he
He
would.
would. He would. But good. We don't need this jackass because finally the last domino has dropped. But anyway, let's move on. I see what I want to do. I'm getting tight on time. I do have a little bit truncated today. I do have this.
Yes.
I don't want to spend much time on it, but let's talk about it a little bit.
That sounds cool. Konami announces several Silent Hill projects, including remake of second game, a new cinematic film. I'm not a big horror person at all, as we know. It's just not my genre. But that's cool.
It
Konami is
could be.
real hit or miss. It could be real good. It could be real bad.
It
So
could
we
be.
will see.
Yeah, no, I agree. Silent Hill, there's a lot of meat on them bones, especially if you know the lore of Silent Hill. I don't want to give spoilers because I think some of these games are great, but it is not what you think it is. But at
Mm,
the same time, it is.
right.
It's really cool. I've heard them talking about the cinematic the movie. I've heard them talking about that, and it could be great, or it could be any number of the new biohazard shit that is dropped.
Yeah.
It could be, I think that there's so much good meat on this bone. You could do a lot with this, man. But I'm just, they can't seem to get their shit together, Eric.
They don't want to. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, like I said, I don't want to take too much time on this, but we've been talking about this, and they've been talking about this for a while. And there is some really fun things you could do with this. It could be absolutely great, especially if they put a little bit of time and love into it, which is really what it needs. You need love, because the problem we see with a lot of these TV shows and movies, there's no love. She-Hulk is once again another good example, and let's just go right over to that. The thing with the She-Hulk is there is no love. The whole thing was built on the premise of hate. It was all
Yes.
about hating on men, and they admit this, right?
Yeah.
How are you going to create something fun and entertaining if you're coming from a toxic point of view? Because that's what they're doing. There's no love. They had no love for She-Hulk. It was just a
Yeah.
device to rattle people about the head and shoulders. That's all they were doing with it. And I love this headline because my God, look where we've come. Go ahead, Thundera.
She-Hulk star says series exists as a quote, fuck you to critics. Head writer boasts, part of me really loves trolling the trolls.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
that's just a massive waste of everybody's money. And here's why. Like Chester said, when you come from a place like that, it's near impossible to tell a good story unless you're an exceptional writer. And two, these people aren't exceptional writers. We've seen their
No.
material. It's not even offensive. Like if they're trying to piss off the trolls, they're literally laughing at you guys. They're not upset. You didn't upset them. You
You're
made their freaking life.
you're
They're
a
loving
joke.
it. They're
That's true.
reveling.
Yeah.
They're reveling in your misery because all you're doing is proving that they're making you miserable.
Yeah.
The only way to beat an internet troll is to ignore them. It's always been the rule. We don't
Yep.
feed the trolls.
Don't
You
feed the
feed the trolls
trolls.
and you gave them what they want.
Yep.
The fact that this is a quote directly from these people
Mm.
shows you how myopic, how insular their world is, and how just narcissistic these
Yep.
people are. You can talk about the trolls and all that and how bad they are and fine, but again, you're just giving them what they want. You're giving them
Yep.
the attention. You're feeding them. These people are in positions of influence in the culture. These people are in positions of influence within Disney, at least to some degree. They made a show for them, and this is what they're using that influence for. Is that a good use of their time? Is that a good use of anybody's time? Because
No.
all you did, like I said, is made these people that you supposedly hate. You just gave them all the ammunition in the world, and they're having a ball,
They are, which in a
shitting
way
on
is a
your product.
positive, isn't it?
Yeah,
And we said from the beginning, if this show was done right, it could have been fun.
yeah.
There's no reason it couldn't have been. But here's the thing that strikes me even stronger than what you said, Thundero.
Mhm.
She-Hulk star says series exists as an FU to critics. Head writer boasts, part of me really loves trolling the trolls. So, and the trolls they're talking about here are not the trolls you're talking about. They're talking about the critics, right? And I find it ironic because at first it's men's fault for not watching a show that we were told not to watch, right? Then it's more of men's fault because we dare to have an opinion on a show we were told to watch, and threatened because we didn't watch. But now, oh no, 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 it was all intentional. We did it intentionally. We created a shitty show because we thought it was funny. We're laughing to ourselves. So actually, we did it. We did it on purpose from the beginning. That's
Yeah.
what they're saying here. So that's what we've come to. They have given every excuse in the book to explain why it sucks and why it was a failure, and now we've come in full circle back to the point that, oh no, we did it intentionally. We did it on purpose, right?
Yes.
That's what this is.
These
And
people
my God,
are
dude.
they're just the worst type of person. And here's why they're the worst type of person. Because they're the type of people who will sit online, sit other places, and pretend like they're good people. They're better than everybody else. They're virtuous. They're
Oh,
this
they
or
love
that.
that. Yeah.
Self-righteous, head up their own ass type people. And really, they are no better than the people they pretend to be against. They're in fact they're worse. And the reason why they're worse is because they can say that it was only to the critics, quote unquote. No, 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 no. They did the final villain of the damn show was Doomcock. Like
Yeah.
that's
It
who it was.
was.
There's no question that's who
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
This was about the internet backlash to the
Uh,
MCU.
it looks
The
just
fact
like
that so
Doomcock.
many
Yeah.
people, yeah, there he is. The fact that so
Well,
many
it's not as
people,
good. His was better.
well, as usual, the cosplay is better. The fact that so many people have turned on the MCU over the last few years because of the actions of Feige and what he's done with it, because of the nonsense that was Endgame and things. Um, these people have turned on it, and it's not because they're evil, they're sexist, they're racist, whatever nonsense buzzword they can come up with. It's because it's garbage, and it's been garbage for over 3 years now.
Yeah.
The last good, actually good MCU movie was a Sony joint project, and it was Spider-Man a year ago.
Yeah. Yeah. And that really was more of a family-friendly movie even, right?
Yep.
And that, which is fine, but it's not like a more in-your-face, more adult-oriented Marvel movie. But you're right. But you know, it's just they're so broken inside their own head that they
Yeah.
can't see the problem. But the thing is that as long as Kevin Feige is over there, we're going to get more of this nonsense. And now that he's
Well,
being backed into a corner and threatened, and power has been taken away from him, dude, it's going to get worse.
yeah, he's not going to stop.
No,
The other problem is Disney people. They'll scapegoat Feige if they need to. They probably will eventually if these movies continue to fail. Because make no mistake, these movies are failing. People can pretend that but they made like 800 million. Yeah, yeah, they spent 400 million making it. Like they're spending way too much money to make these very mediocre pieces of crap. Um, and they're not making their money back. They're just not.
no.
But regardless of that, Disney's not going to stop.
Hmm.
I keep saying this, and people keep not wanting to hear it, but it's true. Disney's been doing this my entire life. I have been anti Disney since I was a teenager when I realized what they were doing. When I got into an argument with a girl in my school, and she started talking to me about nonsense about how she felt, talking about how she needs to follow her heart, and that every girl is a princess, and
Hmm.
I went, oh my God, I know exactly where this all came from. Disney. Disney has been on this nonsense since my whole life, at least,
Yeah,
probably
no,
before
that's
that.
true.
So they're not going to stop. They are social engineers disguised as an entertainment company. They may
Hmm.
have used to just been an entertainment company back in Walt's day. They probably were. But at some point, they decided they don't want to just make art. They want to make culture. They want to influence the minds of the people directly. And that's what they've been on about for I'm almost 40 years old, so 40 years.
Yeah, but now
It,
Walt, just to add a caveat to that, Walt Disney's intention, other than just wanting to be successful, which of course,
yep,
was to lift people's spirits during very difficult times.
that's right.
That was a main part of
Entertainment.
his intention. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and Disney Corporation, after Walt's passing, and it's been passed around a few times, at least who's at the helm, um, That is clearly not what they're about. You can watch
No.
Disney shows even from 20 years ago, and there's agenda all throughout it. Now, it's not quite necessarily the exact same agenda as today, but there is clearly an agenda.
Sure.
We're talking about the idiot father. We're talking about the know-it-all mother. We're talking about these sorts of agendas that have been around a very long time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
These tropes that have done nothing but give men an excuse to pretend to be weak. I think the best example I've ever seen of that in action is in an episode of Everybody Loves Raymond, where they find out that his father has been pretending to not know how to do things for like 40 years, so he wouldn't have to do them.
Mhm.
That is not manly.
Mm-mm.
Period. That's not
No.
masculinity. That's not manly at all.
You
That's
get
not
it
something a
done.
man should be proud of.
No, not
And
and nor a woman.
yes, and that is exactly the point. And Disney's been on that train for a very long time. People can say, well, it's just a trope. Yeah, but it's not, though, because it's one that came from somewhere, because it didn't used to be that way. You can go watch shows from the 50s and 60s, and they were not that way.
No.
Definitely not. The men were men,
And
and
women were
they,
women.
they pushed an excellence, a masculine excellence ideal was out
Yeah.
there.
Well,
Um,
you mentioned that, but think about how many of those old movies and stuff, who's the one inspiring the young man to do something? Who's demanding it of him? It's the mom,
that's right.
right? It's not the dad. The dad is leading by example. It's the mom sitting there saying, "You need to do this. You need to do that."
Yeah.
And that's as she should, right?
Yeah.
So
Because the dad was at work.
or
He's
what
busy.
have you. But I mean, right? This is how it used to be. Women were demanding that men be men,
They
and
would not have the temerity, and it would be audacious nowadays to do so, to make a proper um, Andy Griffith style show with a single
yeah,
father who's an actually just a good father first and foremost, who does the things he needs to do, gets things done. Yeah, obviously there's some bumbling here or there, but it's not usually from Andy. It's usually
no, it's
people
not
around him.
smart, capable,
Yeah,
compassionate man
and a father, right?
and a
He's a
father,
father
a
before
good
he is
father.
anything else.
Yeah, but
And
if
that
she,
is just not, it's so rare. Like, there have been a few movies here or there where you get a good father, a genuinely good dad. It's so rare nowadays that it sticks out like a sore thumb. You're like,
and
oh wow, a good dad in a movie. What?
And to
What?
mention this show that I've been watching, the Shooter, right?
Mhm.
It's produced by Mark Wahlberg. He's the boss, and it shows you how different it is from Hollywood. Because in this, your main character, he is a loving dad. He has a loving wife, a supportive wife,
Yep.
and their kid. It's an actual family, and Hollywood
Yep.
hates families. And
Yep.
it's such a departure with Mark doing that. And we know Mark Wahlberg is more of a normal dude. We know this, right?
Yep.
And having more people like Wahlberg in charge of stuff is better. It's simply better. I do need to move on from this to the last thing I want to cover, but man, this was an absolute dumpster fire. We say that a lot, but this is a true example of it. And now we've come back to the point that, oh no, we meant to be a dumpster fire from the beginning. Okay,
Uh huh.
yeah,
You
because
meant to waste money.
well, keep
Yeah.
in mind when you go look at on like say Box Office Mojo or some other collection site, when you go look at that, they're gonna give you information on how much it made worldwide and how much it cost, and this is how you understand the money on it. Take the how much the movie was made for and double it because that is all the little stuff they don't put on the tab as well as advertisement, and then
At
take the
least.
worldwide at least double it, and then take the worldwide total and cut it in half and compare
Yeah.
because that's the rate. That's basically the easiest math to look at it. And of course, being Disney Plus, we can't do that metric, but we do know they're having a lot of trouble, and this was really really sad. But anyway, let's get into our last thing today, because like I said, I do have something I have to do before I leave. So let me go ahead and do this. What was this? Oh yeah, I was just box off of Mojo. Anyway, let's end with some fun. You guys ready?
You,
Countdown?
Okay.
Yay!
oh, top 10 mafia films. Well, we know there's only one at the top. Well, actually, we don't know which one unless they do one and two together. So we'll
There are
see.
a few
We'll
good
see.
ones. There are a few good ones.
We'll see.
And now this is mafia specific, I guess. So okay, because there are plenty of organized crimes syndicates that are not the mafioso, right?
Correct.
But interesting. Okay, Frank's a bit young to be doing this list, I think. But we're going to give you a chance, Frank, as we usually do. What's number one, Eric? What do you think?
To me, it's Goodfellas. For me, it's
Yeah,
Goodfellas.
that's
Oh,
fair. It's fair.
oh.
What do you think, Thundero?
So Eric's just gonna come in here and blaspheme, huh? All right. It's
I've
obviously God.
never
It's
been
obviously
impressed with them,
Godfather.
Godfather.
Oh, this guy, the blasphemy, the
I did
actual
not.
heresy, right in front of me.
I didn't think it was bad, but I didn't see it till years after it came out. So
Yeah,
I'd seen The Sopranos before I'd seen Godfather.
right.
Oh,
No,
When
oh,
I
I
did, I was like, I guess it's okay. I don't get the hype.
Well,
this
I
guy.
think Godfather is more of the traditional mafia coming out of Sicily, right?
Yes.
Movie, and it does it really, really well. Whereas Goodfellas is really much more of the mafia operating in America, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
The more and a fair, more realistic view of them operating in America. So, there's a distinction, but they're both they should both of them should be in the top three without question.
Yeah.
Let's come in here and take a look what we got number 10. Corky Roma what?
Okay.
What?
I've
He
heard
starts
of
off
it, but
with
I don't know what
comedy.
it's about.
It's kind of hard to imagine a mafia film that's a comedy, but Corky Romano takes the concept to an absurd level. It's about a goofy son of a mob boss who doesn't fit in with a family business. I've never heard of this movie ever.
I've
Uh,
heard of it. I don't think I've ever seen it.
yeah.
Uh, what the mafia's
No.
wife is another example of this. I don't know, dude. I don't know. I have no clue. I don't know how to respond. Eric?
Uh, I guess it's number 10, so maybe it would fit there. Who knows?
Maybe. I certainly hope Donnie Brasco is on the list.
Yeah,
Let's.
that needs to be there.
Yeah, it needs to be here. Let's continue. I don't know anything about that movie. American Gangster. Now, all right. Now, hold on a second here. Frank. You said
Frankie,
top 10 mafia films. Now, if you meant to say top 10 organized crime films, okay, fine.
gangster
That opens it up.
films.
But mafia, because that is not mafia, buddy.
No, no, not quite.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's an
Not quite at
organized
all.
crime. That's fine, and it's actually not a bad movie.
It is a good
Frank
movie.
sucks.
God damn it, Frank.
There's so many mafia movies. Why would you go out of your way to throw this one on this list?
Well,
It's so weird.
so it's not a mafia list; it's an organized crime list.
Yeah,
Okay.
that
Well,
that
that
changes
changes our
the game.
conversation, doesn't it?
Yeah, quite a lot.
You know,
Quite a lot.
because you got Irish mob, you got the Russian mafia, Russian mob stuff, you got gangs, you got the Latino gangs, you have the Chinese tongs, and they're in many, many movies. You got Yakuza. Holy shit. I mean, there's so many good Yakuza movies, right? So,
Oh
Frank,
yeah.
you're kind of shooting yourself in the face here, Frank.
Frank.
God damn it, Frank.
This guy. I'm gonna have to email Frank.
Grimlock is not happy.
I'm gonna have to talk to Frank.
We need to speak to Frank. But anyway, this is a good movie, though. I actually do like this movie. But then again, Denzel kind of always brings it, dude.
He's pretty much great, yeah.
And there's some
Yeah.
other good
Would
actors in here. This dude,
yeah.
that guy I like, this guy over here I like.
Hey, is that Chadwick Boseman right in the middle?
I don't know their names. They're people. I only know Denzel.
It's like one. Yeah. Hey, would
Ugh.
Untouchables be a mafia movie?
It would
I
certainly
mean,
be, wouldn't it? The other
Okay.
side of
yes.
it, yeah, but yeah. One of the greatest Al
Okay.
Capones ever.
What's
Mhm.
number 8? I gotta know.
All right, fine. Let's move on here. Yeah.
Mhm.
Has anyone heard of this?
No.
I didn't know that was the name of it, but I've seen that
Well,
picture. I've seen that
God
before.
damn it, Frank. Look at this. Okay. I'm going to read it in Frank's voice. Never met Frank, but I think I know. Sometimes Americans need to be reminded that organized crime is larger than just the Italian mafia. Eastern Province does a great job highlighting how Europe also has its own set of mob families. Frank, first of all, you titled the goddamn thing. Second of all, the mafia, the actual Sicilian mafia, it's from Europe, Frank. God, he's going to give me an aneurysm, Eric.
Yeah. He probably thinks Wakanda's a real country too.
Oh no,
I've never heard of this. Anybody? Anybody?
I
No.
haven't. No, it's probably good.
It might be.
Um,
Yeah.
you can't go wrong there. But no, this is not a mafia movie. A mafia is a very specific thing.
It is.
He's appropriating the Italian peninsula's culture.
He is. But he also
Or,
is
God,
aware that he's fucked in the head.
yeah,
Frank knows it. His
he knows what he's
subconscious
doing.
is trying to break out. Frank, listen to yourself.
Listen to
Dream,
the inner voice,
Frank.
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 Listen to it.
God damn it. It's so much fun to pick on Frank. I have no clue what this is, dude. But I guarantee you, we could have made a list of top 10 mafia films. Just straight up Italian mafia. We could have done that, Frank. You could have done that. Oh, God.
Uh,
Okay, well, first of all, Christopher Walken. Yes, please. This is a mafia movie, I think. This is straight up
yeah,
Italian mafia, isn't it? This is one where
I
he
think so.
dances in
Yeah.
it, isn't it?
I think so.
I,
Yeah, but I
I
don't know
don't
what it's
know.
doing on this list.
Um,
Listen, I love Christopher Walken as much as the
oh yeah,
next guy,
sure.
but this movie does not belong on this list.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is an actual mafia. He's what was that? Walken plays Frank White, a prominent mob boss. Well, White's not the most mafioso name I've ever heard. Uh,
Mm.
so maybe this is more of a Irish mob. I'm not sure. Well, at least Donnie Brasco's on it because this is a pretty
There we
solid
go.
actual mafia movie. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good
Uh,
movie.
you
Good
know,
flick.
One we've seen.
Yeah, an actual mafia
yeah,
movie.
one
What a
we've seen.
surprise
Yeah.
on a list about mafia movies.
Oh, jeez.
This
Not
is
much to
this
say here.
one.
It's a good movie. If you haven't seen Donnie Brasco, go watch it. It's pretty solid. And it's very mechanical, I would say, and as far as how the mafia works, right? It's very
Yeah,
mechanical. But it's cool. Johnny Depp does a good job. Of course, you got the man here, but it's pretty solid. Godfather Part Two, number 5.
oh my
Hmm.
god.
See, I wouldn't have separated 1 and 2. I would have just put them together because 3, we don't really need that. But Godfather 1 and 2 is really just the continuation. It's just one long movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, but even not being my favorite mobster films, these should be way up higher than 5.
Oh, my certainly should have. Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
absolutely. I
yeah.
would have put them together as one. But yeah,
They are objectively two of, if not the best movies ever made. Like you can ask professionals in the field, and they will agree. These films are as close to perfect as you'll probably ever get on screen. There's no plot holes. There's no all the characters are perfect, the motivations are perfect. It's acted, directed, scored, everything. Like it hits every single thing pretty much out of the park. There's a couple of little bits here or there, but it's as close to perfect as you're going to get
yeah,
the
they're
two
pretty solid.
combined. Yeah. So to put it number 5, I just that's just nonsense talk. That's
Well,
nonsense.
it is, and honestly, with the range of what he's doing here, if well, therefore Scarface should definitely be on this list, right? You're
Yeah.
correct, Roger. If it's as broad as he's playing here, another thing that if it's not on the list, I'm going to be quite miffed is Carlito's Way, right? That's a
Yeah.
great crime movie right
We've
there.
only got 4 spots left.
I know, dude. It's like, what are you doing, Frank? Casino. Oh, okay. Well,
Okay,
okay.
so this should be on the list, but it shouldn't be top 5.
I would put
But
it
it should
like
be on the list.
10.
Yeah, I'd put 9 or 10
Yeah.
probably. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
There's
It is
just
a
so many
mafia film.
mafia movies. There's so many. And this list is an embarrassment to the
It
term.
is.
Oh, Frank.
What was that?
Frank.
What was that? Beatty film where the dude went out and created Vegas. What was that guy? I can't remember off the top of my head.
Oh,
He's a famous mobster. And Warren Beatty played him. God damn it. I'd put that on the list too. But anyway, Casino. Okay, fine. It shouldn't be at 4 though, Frank. I don't know what's wrong with you, Frank. But 3, The Departed. Okay, all right, fine. Okay,
that top 5. Yeah,
yeah,
it's a
yeah,
great
top
movie.
5. Yeah, it is a good movie. Um,
Bugsy
uh,
Siegel.
Bugsy Siegel. There you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
But that I've put that on the list. So The Departed, okay, fine. I'm not going to argue with it. I think it's a little too high, but all right, fine. Eric?
Uh, maybe too high, but Frank can redeem himself if he has Godfather as number one for Thundero.
Yeah, that's true. And Joe's
Well,
correct. I married the mob. Yeah, that's a great one. We need that.
oh God,
But
it could be here. Yeah, it could be number 2 right
it,
now. That
it
could
could
happen.
be. But keep in mind, there's so many mafia films from the 50s and 60s. So many. And we haven't
Yeah.
seen
Oh,
one
yeah.
yet. Frank is caught in the modern loop, you know. I think Frank just goes and looks at other people's top tens. I don't think he
Do
actually
not
sees
want to see the Irishman on this list.
well, I mean, technically, seeing as this is not mafia, it's organized crime, it would qualify.
But I did not like it. I couldn't get through it.
It is boring. Yeah, it is boring. Number 2, oh
Oh my
goodness.
Oh,
God.
for Christ's sake! Someone needs to break Frank's legs. Hey, Mafia, send this man a horse head and be done with him.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Jeez.
You know what's
I'll put a hit out on him. I'm gonna show him some Mafia. That's it. I'm done. I've had it.
well,
This
you know,
this is a sin that will not stand.
yeah.
It will not.
Well, seeing as the way Frank thinks here, we could have had any of Steven Seagal's movies on here as well.
Here's the problem. Is I think we're right. I think Frank's younger, and I know a lot of younger people who do not like the Godfather movies because they, and I quote, they're too slow.
Yeah.
And I
As they
just look
should
at
be.
those people. I just look at those people, and I mourn for humanity because that's the point, guys. It's supposed to be slow. That's what we're doing here. We're telling a story. Stories aren't supposed to be ADD constantly going. Slow down.
Yeah.
Let's tell a
So
story.
we're not getting Carlito's Way because we all know what the last one is. Yeah.
Yeah, of course it is.
And
Yeah,
honestly,
I will accept it.
yeah, so will I. A lot of people would pick that as their number one. It's certainly in top 3. I think traditionally The Godfather would be number 1, but Goodfellas is a solid flick, dude. It's very solid. And you have to admit that it is a good movie.
It's number 3.
Fine.
Godfather 1 and 2. If you're going to separate them, Godfather 1 and 2 would be 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And then it would be number 3. But the rest of this list, aside from like a few things on here, is nonsensical. You got The Departed. That's a good movie. Casino's an okay. It's a good movie. It's not the best, but it's a good movie.
Well,
Seeing Joe Pesci killed, that was a pretty good scene of it.
It was.
That was
The cornfield. Holy shit.
Yeah, it was a solid flick, dude. And I think it was much more realistic to what the mafia actually does. But Joe has a great quote here. So let me read it. I did not like The Godfather. It insists upon itself. Peter Griffin on Family Guy.
Mm.
The best part is he has no idea what that means.
Yeah.
What does that mean? It insists upon itself.
Meaning it takes itself too seriously.
Yes, but he didn't know that's what it meant. He just heard some critics say it. And he was
Of course,
repeating it.
of course, of course. But anyway, another Frank list. I think busting on Frank is the main part of reading these lists.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
This is his worst list.
it is. There are so many movies that could be on this. And the thing with these young people, because let me give you an example. Let's give an example here. Let's do. It's Halloween, so the best horror movies. Okay, just basic, simple search, right? And let's go to here we go. I am a B, right? Let's take a look at this list. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. Just random, right?
Uh-oh.
Well, no, I mean this is well. Here we go. Okay, so this is the best. Oh, top horror movie 20. Okay, well we don't want that. Best horror movies of all time. Here we go. Okay. All right, so this is all time, right? So let's take a look at this list. Aliens, Psycho, top 3. Alien is good. It is a horror movie. Aliens is not
Aliens
a horror movie.
isn't. No.
It doesn't belong on this list at all. Psycho, fine, okay.
Look at the genre. It doesn't even say horror in it.
No, because it's not horror. But this is what we get. This is IMDb, and a lot of times
Mhm.
you'll see stuff on this list, and we'll see what happens here as we look down. But you'll see stuff on this list that hasn't even come out yet, and it's already in the
Yeah.
top whatever. It's like, what? Right? Let's go down here. Saw. Really? Number 4? It's a solid movie, but is it even in the top 10 of great horror movies? Right?
I wouldn't say so.
All right. The Exorcist. And look at its rating. Its rating is lower than the number 5. Why are you doing this, IMDb? The Ring. Really? Texas Chainsaw Massacre. What? What? What?
Okay.
Both of them?
The Evil Dead. The second one should certainly be above the original. What are you doing? Wrong Turn? Oh, come on. Come on.
Even IMDb doesn't agree with it. It's only got a 6 stars.
The Mist, The Shining is
Oh.
13. The Thing is
Yeah.
14. Night
No.
of the Living Dead. Right?
No.
This is
Rosemary's
the
Baby.
George
No.
A. Romero masterpiece, number 15. Rosemary's Baby. Talk about a boring ass slog.
It
Right?
is boring.
I know it's got an 8, but it doesn't deserve it. Or what? What?
That's a creepy movie.
Yeah,
You
but
know what you did with something.
dude, come on. Come on. Number 17, I know what you did last summer. Dude, fuck off. The Hole. Oh goodness. Not even the original one, which is way better. Skeleton Key. Just look at it, dude. This is our modern world. Look at all of this stuff. Now, there are some amazing horror movies from the 60s, 50s, 40s. You'll never find them on these lists, dude. Oh,
Where's
for number
American Werewolf in
32.
London?
Right. Yes, I know. Joyride is before that. The Innocents, 1961. Finally, it took us only 32 to get to the 60s. My point is, they are stuck in a time loop, these modern people. They don't actually know cinema, right? They don't know
Soft,
cinema.
please. Oh,
The
God.
original, this isn't even the original. The remake, the reboot of Horror, which wasn't Amityville Horror, which wasn't good. The original was pretty good. And here it is. It's below that one. Are you kidding me? They even have a higher rating. Why is this in the list? The
Oh, The
Birds.
Birds,
There we go.
objectively one of
60.
the greatest movies of all time. No,
Yes.
that
Yes.
is way out on the list.
Just look at it. Look at it. And you guys can do this with any genre. Just go take a look at these lists, and you realize that how out of touch these modern people are when it comes to movie. And the reason is they're not actual cinemaphiles. They're not.
Yeah.
The people that
Right.
have these jobs don't actually know cinema at all. And this is the
Yeah.
problem with the lack of meritocracy in the world today. Because an actual cinemaphile would never do this,
I have a
right?
question for you, Chester. Since this is your genre,
Oh yeah.
what would you say is number 1? The greatest horror movie ever made. Tough one.
It is tough because it's difficult because I think horror is not properly classified.
Yes, I agree.
If I was just going to answer off the cuff, it's probably Psycho, right?
That's a good choice. Good
But
choice.
but then again, you have to split things off of the psychological, the slasher type, the gore type.
Yep.
There's different types. It needs to be broken down. But just off the cuff, Psycho is an amazing movie. The Birds, once again, Alfred Hitchcock, well done.
Yep.
Alien, The Thing, I think are really good horror movies. But once again, how do you break it down? If I were to say what is the best horror soundtrack of all time, The Haunting.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a pretty solid movie beyond that, but you're not going to find that in a top 10 list anywhere. But as far as
Even
the
above.
soundtrack,
See, here's why I asked that, because you're making my point for me. There's a movie that always gets forgotten. I mentioned this before, and it has probably, if not one of the most memorable soundtracks of all time, and that's Jaws, because it is a horror movie. The first one, anyway.
it is. Yeah, it is.
And that, obviously, the Jaws theme is, I mean, everybody, it as soon as you hear
Well,
it. It's ubiquitous at this point.
if you want to talk about top 10 list of hooks, Yeah, Jaws is definitely in there. Many Carpenter film hooks are great.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about the entirety of a soundtrack, right? It
Okay, fair
no,
enough.
no, it's
Yeah, fair
definitely
enough.
The Haunting. But you're right, and we just looked at that list. Jaws is nowhere on it,
Not even on
and
there.
it's a
Yeah.
straight up horror movie. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a great
Um,
one.
what would be
Great
your
horror.
number one horror movie?
For me, it's just because it still terrifies me is The Exorcist. That movie
It
just
is
it
good.
messes with me. If I watch it, I haven't watched it in years. If I do, I don't sleep. It just sticks in my brain. It's such a mind f. It just really is.
It is.
Another one is The Shining, and it's so simple because not a lot happens in The Shining, but man, does that movie set the tone, and
Yep.
it knows its tone and it stays with it, and it's just that's just what it is, and it's such an absolute masterpiece when it comes to
Hmm.
building tension, just
Well, that's
keeps
why
building
I
to the
chose Psycho.
crescendo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
so great
And
at that.
I'd put that right. Honestly, I'd put those three probably tied. They're
Yeah.
just for me. They just screw with me for days if I watch them because
Hmm.
it has that pace and that build, and it knows what it's doing. A lot of these modern horror movies, they'll have some scares in them, and they might even mess with you a little bit psychologically, but nothing like those classic masterpieces. Which, by the way,
Right.
every one of those movies I just mentioned was from before I was born, so it's not even a generational thing. These are just movies that they knew the filmmaker, Hitchcock especially, knew how to get in your head
Yep.
and
And
stay there.
and they couldn't lean on the crutch of special effects. They had to do
Correct.
it
Yeah.
psychologically, and of course Hitchcock was an absolute master of it. And it stands up. That's the thing. Go watch Psycho today. That is a really creepy movie, dude.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that it's out of time by what is it, 60 years now. It stands up. Eric, best horror movie.
Uh, like so many of them, but I'm really fond of Poltergeist.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
More family
That
friendly,
was
but definitely good.
that wasn't even in the top 50 in there.
No,
No, didn't
no.
even show up.
It is more family friendly, to be fair. But it's that is a great horror movie. Yeah, yeah.
And that is again, right? Not a lot happens in there. Not a lot of bodies getting decimated left and right like in other movies,
Well,
but
they
it just
develop the characters.
right.
Yeah.
It gets in your head
Hmm.
and it stays there.
Well, just
And that is what horror is supposed to. That's why I don't like I that's why horror my pretty much my whole life horror's been a dead genre because there's been a few examples, but by and large there haven't been movies like that get in your head and they're there now. And now you're going to be thinking about them for a week because
mhm,
they knew what they were doing and that's what they did.
yeah,
That just doesn't exist in the horror genre anymore. At least
right.
not in movies
Well,
I've seen, and I've watched a bunch, and it's just not there.
we
It's
can
mostly
take
slasher now.
it
Yeah.
is, and that's a complete category. And if you want to look at something like, say, Terrifier and the new one, they take that to the next level, right? As far as slasher gore. But would I put the Terrifier in my top 100 list of horror movies? Probably not, right? Because it's not really horror. But making a comparison back to what we started the show with today with Black Adam. Imagine if they took Pierce Bronson's character and they had a few people. That lady is fine, and her annoying kid, and is helping him. And they took 30 minutes of that movie to build up who is Dr. Fate, and they're looking into something. There's something he doesn't know. He should know, but he doesn't. For some reason, it's been blocked because of the power of the wizards, right? From human memory, right? And he's going in and they're doing this research, and it's simple, and it's down, and it's quiet, and it's dark, and they're looking into this, and they screw up, and they release this thing, and they did it in this just evil thing is just tearing through people and destroying, and Dr. Fate is desperate, and he calls in some help, and they're trying to calm this thing down, and it finally does calm itself down, and they make a decision. They could have took a simple little horror route with Black Adam, and it would have been freaking epic, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, they could have made
Right?
him like Jaws.
Exactly. Exactly. And we would have had a great character in Pierce Bronson's Dr. Fate. You could easily explain why he didn't know, because he should know. I mean, Fate is literally a god of order, literally,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
But the wizards blocked it because it was such a threat that they had to shut it down even from human memory, right? It would have been, they could have made a great little movie. And this is the problem with the young people. Their attention span is about that of a gnat,
Yes.
right? And the thing is, not all of them though, because I'll give it a good example. I've said this before, I'm sure, but I'll say it again. Um, I showed my son, not my daughter, she wasn't here. I showed my son when he was older, like 18 or 19 or 20, somewhere in there. I showed him Blade Runner, the original, right?
Yeah.
And that is a slow paced movie, very slow,
Very slow.
right? But he was absolutely glued to the screen the entire movie, and he loved it. So not all young people are dumb or and have these low attention spans. And a movie like Blade Runner is really one of the greatest movies made. It's in the top 20, right? Top 20 or
Yeah.
30 of greatest movies ever made.
I
And
think
that
Frank would think so.
well, that probably not, but realistically, it certainly is as far as filmmaking, right? Non-genre, just filmmaking, and because it took its time to develop the story and the world, and they don't do that. Look how they developed in this Black Adam movie. How did they develop the character of Black Adam? What did they do? The Justice Society shows up and says, "We have secret information that says you are a baddie." That is literally what they did. They took 2 seconds, right? You had the little girl Cyclone come on and said, "This is a great ship. It's made completely of nth metal, isn't it?" "Yes, it is. It's indestructible." That's all we get on the background of a Hawkman. All righty.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's what they do these days. They just throw in this little bit of exposition, the tiniest amount of exposition, and it absolutely flops. And you're absolutely right, Jeff. Good job, Jeff. Jeff is mentioning great things. Event Horizon was great, but The Autopsy of
Ooh.
Jane Doe is a perfect example. That movie takes its damn time. It's a simple little indie film. It's very cheap to make, and it's epically awesome. If you haven't seen The Autopsy of Jane Doe, go watch it because that's how you do that. That is super low budget, but it's wicked.
Yeah.
Yes, I know, Eric. I just brought the 80s back with the one word.
It's such a shame. It's such a shame because I would like to like horror again, but it's just been so disappointing for pretty much my whole life. Everybody always, because I've always been around people who really like horror, who really into the genre. Women seem to like it a lot too, and I don't get it. I'll watch scary movies. Yeah, they can frighten you a bit. Oh, he jumped out. Ooh, they startle you.
Yeah,
But
the jump scare.
it's not like 2 days later. I'm like, man, that was messed up. I'm not. That's
Mm-hmm.
not when I watch something like The Exorcist. That happens. It's like,
Oh
oh
yeah,
man,
yeah. It sticks
that's
with you.
dark.
It sticks with you.
Yeah,
And there's so much that goes into that, but we just don't see it these days. And the thing I notice as well, because we still have Netflix because I don't know, my family wants it. But I was on there checking the Netflix and seeing, it's Halloween time, Eric, and
Yeah.
yeah, there's like no Halloween movies on there.
yeah.
There
It's
isn't a
weird.
lot. It's kind of hard to find anything really right now.
Yeah, it's like
There's a
what?
couple series I didn't mind on Netflix. Haunting of Hill House.
Yeah, it was all right.
It was all right. The what Black Midnight Mass? Midnight. It was
Yeah,
all
that was
right.
better.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. Now the other haunting on a different
Bly
house wasn't.
Manor.
I didn't like that one as much.
Well, because it's not about haunting; it's about
Yeah,
lesbianism.
it's weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because that's not what the story is about. It's not actually a horror movie. They just want to promote lesbianism.
Hmm.
That's the whole point, right? And of course, that's like, yeah, well, please make a horror movie. Yeah, would be nice. But there's not a lot this season. We didn't get a lot of cool, fun horror stuff come out this year. The only thing anyone's talking about is Terrifier 2. And fine. I love that kind of grotesque cliche grotesque genre. It's fun. But the Terrifier, All Hallows Eve, Terrifier, and Terrifier 2, the three tastes of Art the Clown. That is absolutely not for everyone, dude. That is so niche. I would never. My wife actually said, "I heard people are talking about Terrifier 2. We should watch it." I was like, "No, no, no. I would never show my wife that movie. Are you out of your mind?" I mean, right? I mean, because she has bad dreams. My wife is. The
Oh yeah.
I mean, the Japanese are oddly innocent people. They just are. I don't. It's just part of their makeup. And she has bad dreams, and I got to shake her in the night to wake her more often than I like, because I don't like it. I don't know about you guys, but when my wife is making terrified sounds in the night, now it's not like she's having night terrors that scream, just little moans, right? But I don't know about you guys, but I don't like it when my wife makes those kind of sounds. It upsets me, right? So
Yeah.
I do my best to not put those things in her head if I can, right?
My wife does not like horror at all. It
Yeah.
terrifies her, so we don't watch anything. Together, we don't watch. I watch stuff separately. We did watch a movie today she had never seen, and you're going to be surprised she'd never seen this. It's not a horror movie, but it's a Carpenter film. Escape from New York. She had never seen it.
Oh wow, that's a fun movie. Yeah. But do your wives have to make those kind of nightmare sounds sometimes?
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't like it. It
Yeah.
bothers
No,
me.
no. It's not fun.
No. And I'll wake her up, but I don't want to build onto that, right? And me personally, I don't think I've ever had a nightmare. I can't recall ever having one. Have you guys ever had a nightmare?
Yeah.
You
Oh
have,
yeah.
yeah. I never have.
When I was a kid, uh, every day, the same day every year for 3 straight years, I had the same nightmare, and I remember it. It was when I was still obviously I was a kid. I still lived out in the country with my parents, and there was this giant snake creature,
Mm.
like a dragon or something, in our yard, and just doing giant snake creature things, and terrorizing the house and destroying the house and da da da. And then I would wake up, and I had it every day in the fall, 3 years in a row on the same day. It was
Huh.
no idea why, and then just stopped. Never had it again. No idea why.
Yeah, no. I can't recall ever having a nightmare. I certainly had dreams that others might consider nightmarish, but I didn't take it that way. But because usually in the dreams that I remember, there is some kind of calamity taking place, but I'm breaking and ripping it to pieces. I'm usually the nightmare. What does that mean, Eric?
It means someone somewhere else is having a nightmare,
That's what
and
it
you are the
means. That's right.
you
I am
are
the
the
nightmare.
nightmare.
I am the nightmare. But that's okay. To each his own, right? But
You're a super villain.
I probably, yeah, probably. Well, it's funny because, like, I remember this dream I've had several times over the past 20 years or so. That I don't know why, but in the dream, I'm running through this building, and it's got lots of stairs and ladders and levels, and it's just this forever eternal building and it's very dirty and old, kind of 19th century. But I'm running through this building, and but and there's a monster, but it's not chasing me. I'm chasing it.
Hmm.
I've had that dream a lot. I have had another a set of dreams where there's some kind of like demon or alien invasion or some kind of invasion going on, and I'm murderlating them a lot.
Hmm.
So I don't know. Some
A lot of
people might
murder.
consider that, yeah, a lot of murder. Might
A lot of
consider
murder in
that
the
to be a
dream.
nightmare, but not from my point of view.
Yeah.
So,
You might need to talk to someone about these.
you think? You think?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm completely stable though.
It's that's what Jeffrey Dahmer thought too.
Hmm. Cap Canada says The Gate also creeped me out as a kid. Yeah, that was a fun movie. The Gate, simple little thing. Anyway, guys, I gotta go. I got some work to do before I go to work, so I gotta cut it off. But that was fun.
Get out of here.
Good conversations today. And Howl or Where, I think, is even a better a werewolf movie. Jeff, they're pretty good. But also Werewolves, the Beast Amongst Us is a little bit lower budget, but that's fun if you want kind of like the almost the superhero fighting a supernatural take. That was kind of fun. Dog Soldier's freaking epic movie, dude. Yeah. The Void, another good recent movie. Good job. Jeff's just full of good information. But anyway, thank you all very much. Keep in mind we're off tomorrow. I'm still having to deal with that. I have no idea what's going on in Bugbear's basement. Everyone seems to be busy with other stuff. I don't know. Maybe we'll be back, or not, Jonathan Harker. No, you stop that, Joe. But nevertheless, we'll definitely be here for Drone and Quartered on the Friday, or your Thursday, I'm sorry. And we'll be back next week as well. So thank you all very much. And Eric, would you like to have a closing comment?
I have no comments. I'm gonna pull an armor on. I got nothing.
No, nothing. Okay. Thanks, Eric. All right,
No
then. Thundera takes out of here, yeah.
Talking about horror. A horror. I've got one for you. The wicked can pretend to virtue, but the virtuous never will.
Namaste indeed. Later, everybody.